test. Gu Yuchen slightly bowed, replying, Uncle Xia, you flatter me. Xia Zhengtian leaned closer to Xia Yutong, whispering, It seems your judgment is quite sound. Xia Yutong shyly lowered her head, resembling a bashful flower, evoking affection. Xia Zhengtian felt no need to interfere, as his daughter was content. Moreover, he was quite satisfied with Gu Yuchen, so he would not intervene. The audience watched this scene in silence, filled with curiosity and anticipation. They wondered about Gu Yuchen's background that could elicit such praise from Xia Zhengtian. As for the gift Gu Yuchen presented, many gazed at it with shining eyes, particularly the women, whose expressions reflected envy and admiration. Numerous girls were envious, their eyes filled with affection for Gu Yuchen. Whether they were enamored with his wealth or his character remained uncertain. Compared to Xin Yunchuan, Gu Yuchen had utterly trounced him, proving to be a far superior opponent. Su Hao Ran also nodded, filled with admiration for Gu Yuchen. At that moment, Xia Zhengtian clapped his hands, stating, All right. Everyone, please continue to enjoy the banquet. As music resumed, conversations and laughter erupted once more, as if the earlier uproar had never occurred. After the banquet concluded, Gu Yuchen, Xia Yutong, and a group of classmates exited the hotel, planning to sing and celebrate together. Thank you for today, Xia Yutong said softly, her voice like a nightingale's song, clear and melodious. For what? As long as you are happy, that is enough, Gu Yuchen replied with a warm smile, akin to the gentle sun. They exchanged smiles, and under the moonlight, their figures gradually faded into the distance, leaving behind a beautiful memory as their classmates observed with approving nods, akin to proud parents. However, unbeknownst to them, Xin Yunchuan had no intention of letting this matter rest. He was secretly plotting revenge against Gu Yuchen, determined to sabotage his relationship with Xia Yutong. Upon returning home, Xin Yunchuan furiously shattered everything in his room. Gu Yuchen, I will not let you off easily, he roared, his heart brimming with hatred and jealousy. He resolved to make Gu Yuchen pay at any cost, gathering his subordinates to scheme against him. On the other hand, Gu Yuchen and Xia Yutong were reveling in joyous song with their classmates at the KTV, utterly oblivious to the impending peril that loomed ahead. Chapter 150. Midnight Dream KTV. The members of the Dark Blade gang were lurking, keenly observing Zhang Yun's movements. They divided into two factions. One group lay in wait for Zhang Yun, while the other, led personally by their leader Zhao Xian, aimed to capture Gu Yuchen. The Dark Blade gang was notorious in the region, known for their ruthless and decisive methods, often resorting to violent and bloody tactics to resolve conflicts, instilling fear in the hearts of many. Gu Yuchen was accompanied by 7 friends, all of whom shared a pleasant camaraderie, though some had departed the earlier festivities. Their journey was filled with laughter, creating an atmosphere as light and refreshing as a spring breeze. Midnight Dream KTV was a sizable entertainment venue, and upon their arrival, the group hailed a taxi to the vibrant locale. This area was a veritable paradise of entertainment, with bars and dance halls in abundance, neon lights flickering incessantly, conjuring a scene reminiscent of an unending carnival. As they disembarked, their presence immediately attracted attention, 4 young men and 4 young women, exuding vitality and youthfulness. Gu Yuchen held Xia Yutong's hand, their intimate demeanor drawing curious glances from passersby. The 4 young women radiated beauty, akin to flowers blooming in spring, captivating the onlookers, particularly with Xia Yutong's stunning looks and figure, leaving some entranced to the point of drooling, oblivious to their surroundings. Upon entering the KTV, a staff member promptly approached them with enthusiasm. Hello, handsome gentlemen and beautiful ladies. How may I assist you? A female attendant smiled at Gu Yuchen, her gaze lingering on him for a few extra seconds, secretly admiring his striking appearance, as if he had stepped out of a painting. Hello. We would like to reserve a high-end private room, Xia Yutong replied, her voice melodious and clear, reminiscent of a mountain stream, her demeanor graceful and poised, like a refined lady from a noble family. Certainly, beautiful. Please follow me. The attendant gestured elegantly, leading them towards the front desk with a lightness in her step, her figure graceful and movements as swift as a swallow. After securing the room, she guided Gu Yuchen and his friends to the private area, gently pushing open the door to reveal a space adorned with splendid lighting and an enchanting atmosphere, the colorful lights flickering and blending, creating a dreamlike quality that was incredibly comforting. The walls were embellished with exquisite wallpaper, and the sofas were soft and inviting, making one feel as though they were floating on a cloud. Welcome. This is our premium room, equipped with the finest amenities. The cost is 500 yuan for 1 hour. Our KTV offers 2 dozen beers and 2 fruit platters complimentary. The attendant maintained a professional smile while addressing Xia Yutong, though her thoughts were consumed by Gu Yuchen, who, despite her experience with many attractive men, was truly unforgettable. Thank you. Gu Yuchen smiled, handing her 200 yuan. In Midnight Dream, tipping was customary, provided the guests offered it voluntarily. Any request for tips could result in immediate dismissal if discovered. The service attendant bowed deeply to Gu Yechen, accepting the 200 yuan with both hands, respectfully expressing her gratitude. While her exterior remained calm, inside, she was elated, akin to turbulent waves beneath a tranquil surface. In the meantime, if you need anything, feel free to ask me. The attendant beamed, her gaze towards Gu Yechen now even more fervent. After delivering her message, she turned to leave, just as two young men arrived with the beers and fruit platters. Yechen, do you sense something different about this place? Xia Yutong inquired, her eyes sparkling with curiosity, resembling twinkling stars. The others began to revel in the joyous atmosphere. Some sang. Others indulged in fruit, while a few enthusiastically rolled dice. Gu Yechen and Xia Yutong sat together, sipping their beers. Gu Yechen remarked, the lighting here creates a wonderfully soothing ambience, with uniquely crafted decor and exceptional sound quality. You are the most beautiful cloud in my sky. Two individuals began a duet of a popular song, their enthusiasm palpable, filling the space with energy. The female singer was their class representative, Xia Yi, who, sharing the same surname as Xia Yutong, had developed a good rapport with her. With her striking appearance, she easily scored an impressive 87, and her academic performance consistently placed her among the top 10 students. Previously perceived as a studious girl, often seen as a mere learning machine, her lively and cheerful side emerged in this vibrant environment, delighting everyone. As she sang, she swayed her body, effortlessly mimicking the dance moves from the song, exuding a natural grace that belied her usual reserve. Once the song concluded, she plopped down beside Xia Yutong, grabbing a drink and downing it with gusto, her boldness starkly contrasting her usual quiet demeanor. Slow down. Miss Xia is footing the bill for everything tonight. No rush. Gu Yechen chuckled, concern evident in his gaze. It's fine. It's fine. She waved her hand dismissively, turning to Xia Yutong. Xiaodong, how do you think I sang? She looked at Xia Yutong with confidence, as if she expected nothing less than praise. Perfect. Xia Yutong replied with a warm smile, her face aglow with genuine admiration. Gu Yechen added with a grin. Even the original artist cannot compare to your flawless rendition, though perhaps the portly fellow here is holding you back. Wang Tian, overhearing, immediately protested, come on, old Gu. Even though my nickname is Little Fatty, I'm not that fat, and you say my singing is lacking? I am a disciple of the singing god. His exaggerated expressions and eager tone elicited bursts of laughter from the group. Oh, spare us. With your lackluster singing style? Calling yourself a disciple of the singing god is laughable. The room erupted with laughter, the atmosphere brimming with joy. Shout on. You should sing a song too. Xia Yi handed a microphone to Xia Yutong. Initially reluctant, she felt compelled to join in under the eager anticipation of her friends. All right, I shall showcase my vocal prowess. But don't say I didn't warn you if my singing isn't up to par. Xia Yutong laughed, her playful demeanor endearing to all. Chapter 151, Summer Yutong, in Trouble. Suhu to the rescue. She sang a melancholic tune, The Hasty Years, with a tone that resonated deeply with their emotions at that moment. The poignant melody intertwined with their sentiments, as they were on the verge of parting ways, likely to attend different schools, with the future shrouded in uncertainty and farewells. The moment Summer Yutong's voice filled the air, everyone was left astounded. Her voice bore an uncanny resemblance to the original artist, nearly 90% alike. Her ethereal and crystalline timbre, reminiscent of Wang Fei, was extraordinarily recognizable, exhibiting exquisite attention to detail. Gu Yechen was taken aback, never expecting Summer Yutong to possess such remarkable vocal talent. Had he not known better, he might have assumed she was a professional singer. Even those engaged in games of dice paused, captivated by Summer Yutong's singing, their gazes fixated upon her, as if time itself had momentarily stilled in reverence to her enchanting voice. She sang splendidly. It was likely that even seasoned singers would struggle to reach her level of artistry. The heartfelt resonance of her voice drew everyone into a reverie. As the final notes faded, the room erupted in enthusiastic applause. Summer Yutong, slightly bashful, set down the microphone and, sitting beside Gu Yechen, smiled and asked, "How was it?" "Not bad, right?" Her expectant eyes sparkled like constellations in the night sky, resembling a young girl awaiting praise. Gu Yechen reached out and affectionately ruffled her hair, replying, "Remarkable." Instantly, Summer Yutong's heart blossomed with joy. "Xiaodong, could you give me an autograph? If you debut, I will be the first to have your signature." Summer Yi, momentarily entranced, was overwhelmed by the beauty of Summer Yutong's voice, as it transported her into a world brimming with memories, rendering her unable to extricate herself. If you don't pursue a career as an idol singer, it would be their loss. Summer Yi gazed at Summer Yutong, her eyes shimmering with admiration and envy, the intensity of which was both fervent and sincere. Come, Gu Xueshen, how about you sing a song? We haven't heard your voice yet." Summer Yi beamed at Gu Yechen, her eyes alight with anticipation. Surely, someone chosen by Summer Yutong could not be ordinary. She seemed to await an imminent, spectacular performance. "I don't sing." Gu Yechen quickly waved his hand, having never revealed his vocal prowess in public. even though he knew he possessed a godlike singing talent. It's fine. Just one song. Summer Yutong gazed at Gu Yechen with pleading eyes, her pitiful expression almost bringing him to tears, making it difficult for him to refuse. Gu Yechen, seeing her earnest gaze, felt his resolve soften, and gently said, "All right, I'll sing a song." The atmosphere turned playful, filled with laughter and cheers. "Lovebirds are bound to perish quickly," someone shouted, eliciting another round of laughter. Summer Yutong's cheeks flushed as she handed the microphone to Gu Yechen, clearing his throat. Gu Yechen prepared to sing amusement park. He took a deep breath and began, each word resonating with a magnetic quality that captivated everyone's attention. His voice was imbued with deep emotion, each note seemingly woven with a narrative that entranced the audience. The ambience intensified, with everyone lost in the enchantment of Gu Yechen's song. At that moment, Summer Yutong's phone rang unexpectedly. She glanced at the caller ID, signaled to Gu Yechen, and stepped out of the room to answer the call. As she reached the corner of the hallway, while engaged in conversation, she was suddenly surrounded by a group of unruly thugs. "Hey, little beauty, all alone? Come play with us." A thug with bleached hair leered maliciously. "What do you want?" Summer Yutong, terrified, retreated against the wall, unable to escape. The men were scrutinizing her, having noticed her when she stepped out of the car. They had been searching for her for quite some time and were determined not to let this opportunity slip away. "We just want to have a drink with you. Don't be so fierce." Another bald thug reached out to grab her. Summer Yutong struggled desperately, shouting help. "You scoundrels, let me go." The bald man cursed, "Shut up," and attempted to drag her towards the restroom, intending to take advantage of her there. Tears welled up in Summer Yutong's eyes as she cried out, "Yechen, save me." Yet, the music inside the room was too loud, and the soundproof walls rendered her desperate pleas unheard. "Go. Today we will definitely outdrink you." One thug taunted. "You lot. You think you can match my drinking skills? Go train for a few years, and then come back." Suhu chuckled. "Look, it's your sister-in-law." One of the henchmen pointed out, spotting Summer Yutong. Suhu followed his gaze and saw the bald thug dragging Summer Yutong, who was struggling fiercely. "How dare you lay hands on someone associated with Mr. Gu? Brothers, beat them up and save my sister-in-law," Suhu commanded, waving his hand. Several henchmen surged forward. One of them kicked the bald thug's hand away, shielding Summer Yutong as he asked, "Sister-in-law, are you all right?" With red-rimmed eyes, Summer Yutong looked bewildered, unsure of who these people were. "Who are you?" "It's us. We know Brother Gu. We were at the library when you were there," Summer Yutong suddenly realized. Wiping her tears and expressing her gratitude, "Thank you. If it weren't for you, I would have been in dire straits." Just then, the henchman was kicked aside, and Summer Yutong was seized again. "Sister." The henchman scrambled to his feet and rushed back into the fray. Inside the room, Gu Yechen heard the commotion outside. The music abruptly silenced. He tossed aside the microphone and dashed out. Upon seeing Summer Yutong being held captive and Suhu engaged in a fight, Gu Yechen's expression darkened as a realization struck him. "Let her go," he commanded, his tone foreboding. The thugs turned, initially expecting to confront someone formidable, only to find a mere boy. The bald thug scoffed. "Kid, stay out of our business." "Brothers, take them down," the bald thug ordered. But he quickly noticed his own men had been overpowered. "If you do not release her, I will drown you in the Pearl River," Gu Yechen stated lightly, yet with an undeniable air of authority. The bald thug was unimpressed. The commotion drew the attention of the others in the private room, who emerged to witness the scene. Upon seeing the three beautiful women behind Gu Yechen, the thugs felt a surge of desire. "Kid, hand over those three girls, and we might let you off the hook. Otherwise, kneel and sing conquer." The bald thug leaned closer to Summer Yutong, inhaling her fragrance and leering. "Ah, the scent of a maiden. So beautiful and untouched. What a treasure today." Chapter 152. The appearance of Qin Lang. After finishing his words, the bald man took out his phone and made a call. "Kid, if you won't let us leave, you'll soon understand the consequences. Just kneel down and call us Grandpa, and I can let this slide." He chuckled, his expression filled with arrogance and overconfidence, exuding an air of invincibility. "Is that so? Allow me to offer you a piece of advice. Would you like to hear it?" Gu Yechen's lips curled into a slight smirk, a hint of disdain and mockery evident in his gaze, which held a chilling intensity. "Of course, go ahead. I'm all ears." The bald man dismissed Gu Yechen's potential for any remarkable action, believing that as long as he possessed the woman in his grasp, he still held the upper hand. He remained blissfully unaware of the imminent danger, maintaining his haughty demeanor. "Transform today into the anniversary of your demise." As Gu Yechen's words fell, a shadow, akin to a ghost, appeared beside the bald man. A sudden crack echoed as the sound of a broken arm resonated. "Ah!" The bald man's arm was instantaneously shattered, eliciting a piercing scream. His complexion turned as pale as a sheet, beads of sweat rolling down his forehead like pearls from a broken string. His body trembling from the excruciating pain. Without uttering another word, Gu Yechen charged forth like an enraged lion. He landed a punch on the yellow-haired thug and Appo's face with a force that was swift and thunderous, distorting the thug and Apos' visage in an instant. Following that, a knee strike struck the thug and Apos' abdomen, causing him to double over in agony. A subsequent shoulder throw sent the yellow-haired thug crashing to the ground. Writhing in pain and moaning pitifully, Gu Yechen held Xia Yutong tightly in his arms, softly reassuring her. "Don't be afraid, it's all right now." His voice was gentle yet resolute, serving as a warm barrier that shielded Xia Yutong from the external threats. However, unbeknownst to anyone, Gu Yechen's heart raced with anxiety, fearing the impact this ordeal might have on her. As other thugs surged towards Gu Yechen, their intentions menacing, Qin Lang swiftly intervened. His movements were agile and lightning fast, each punch and kick accompanied by a whoosh of wind. In mere moments, he left several thugs with bruised faces, groaning on the ground, incapacitated but not fatally harmed. The commotion drew the attention of the security guards, who hurried over with a few others. The thugs, terrified, scrambled to flee but were blocked by Su Hu. Gu Yechen tenderly brushed his fingers against Xia Yutong's cheek, where a glaring red handprint marred her exquisite complexion. Suppressing his rage, he asked in a trembling voice, "Tong Tong, are you all right?" His eyes were filled with both compassion and fury, the flames of his anger threatening to ignite. Still shaken, Xia Yutong buried herself in Gu Yechen's embrace. Sobbing, "Aiken, I'm so scared." Her body continued to tremble, akin to a frightened bird seeking solace in Gu Yechen's protective hold. "Don't be afraid, I'm here. No one can harm you," Gu Yechen murmured, his gaze unwavering and resolute, as if he were making an eternal promise to Xia Yutong, a determination evident in his eyes. Glancing at Su Hu, Gu Yechen stated, "Brother Su, thank you for tonight. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to ask, as long as it is within my means." His tone was calm, imbued with an intangible pressure. "Mr. Gu, please don't say that. It's our duty," Su Hu replied with a smile, his expression reflecting genuine camaraderie. "Can you find me a place? I wish to deal with them personally." Gu Yechen's eyes turned icy, a palpable aura of menace enveloping him, freezing the very air around. Su Hu immediately dropped his jovial demeanor, replying seriously, "Understood, leave it to me." As Gu Yechen exited the KTV, a throng of men appeared, each wielding gleaming machetes that radiated an intimidating sharpness. The blades glimmered coldly under the lights. "Leave the others behind and roll out of here if you wish to keep your lives," a burly man declared menacingly, his gaze filled with ferocity and brutality. Upon seeing his reinforcements, the bald man was instantly elated, exclaiming, "Along, I'm over here." His voice brimmed with pride and arrogance, as though he could foresee Gu Yechen and his companions and Apos' grim fate. "Kid, you and Apos, LL regret this. Leave the girl, I intend to impregnate her. And then hundreds will take turns violating her." The bald man's lewd words stirred disgust. Gu Yechen's expression darkened, akin to a stormy sky. As he raised his hand and delivered a sharp slap, the sound echoed through the night. In an instant, the bald man let out a scream akin to that of a slaughtered pig, losing several teeth as his face swelled, a stark handprint blossoming on his cheek, turning from a fiery red to a deep purple, a testament to the force behind Gu Yechen's strike. Everyone present stood in shock, unable to process the scene. For Gu Yechen's speed had been astonishing. In a mere heartbeat, the bald man lay beaten before them, their disbelief palpable. "So, you wish to toy with my woman?" Gu Yechen's eyes glinted with cold fury, his gaze piercing through the air. "Since you seek to play with her, I cannot allow you to succeed." Gu Yechen smiled. A smile devoid of warmth, as he struck the bald man again and again, rendering him unconscious, his teeth nearly all gone, his face a grotesque shade of crimson. "Get moving. Don't you see Brother Chang being beaten?" Along kicked one of his subordinates in a fit of rage, urgently shouting. He then pulled out his phone, sweat beading on his forehead, clearly intimidated by Gu Yechen's ferocity. As a group of thugs regained their senses, they charged at Gu Yechen with their machetes. Their intentions clear, they aimed to reduce him to mere pulp. Gu Yechen's fury ignited, his anger threatening to erupt. He delivered a decisive blow to the bald man's spine, a sharp crack signaling its break. Following that, he unleashed a kick to the man's lower body, rendering him utterly incapacitated. The bald man, struck by this devastating blow, awakened in agony, but his broken spine left him crumpled on the ground like a rag doll. All the men present, barring Qin Lang, instinctively shielded their groins, their faces pale with terror, even Along appearing horrified, trembling uncontrollably. "Those are the ones, charge." It was Along who called for his reinforcements. Chapter 153, The Battle It Is Them. Charge. The individuals summoned by Aaron finally arrived, and with a single command, they descended upon the scene like a violent tempest. Su narrowed his eyes, and his expression darkened profoundly, for the newcomers were none other than the Dark Blade Gang, sworn enemies of the Flying Dragon Society. The enmity between these two factions had been relentless, akin to that of arch-rivals, and now, confronted in this narrow space, a fierce confrontation was inevitable. Gu Yechen stood resolute, akin to a towering mountain, shielding Xia Yutong closely behind him. Her complexion was as pale as parchment, her eyes filled with trepidation, yet she strove to maintain her composure, knowing she could not become a hindrance to Gu Yechen at such a perilous moment. Mr. Gu, please take Miss Xia and find a safe place to hide. Leave this to us. Su Hu's voice was low and firm, though his barely contained fury threatened to erupt at any moment. His gaze bore the determination of a general poised for battle. No, we fight together. Gu Yechen's voice rang out, bold and unyielding, laced with an undercurrent of danger. He resolutely declined Su Hu's suggestion, fully aware that retreat was not an option. He could not allow the Darkblade gang to prevail. The members of the Darkblade gang surged forward like a tidal wave, and chaos erupted instantaneously. Qin Lang darted into the fray, his movements as swift as lightning, each strike imbued with lethal force. He swiftly appeared before an adversary, delivering a crushing blow that sent the opponent sprawling to the ground. His every action flowed with an effortless grace, each punch landing with visceral impact. Glancing at Xia Yutong, Gu Yechen was consumed by a profound worry. He yearned to join the fray and fight alongside Qin Lang and the others, yet he feared for Xia Yutong's safety. Though her face was ashen and her eyes filled with fear, she resolutely maintained her calm, understanding that she could not burden Gu Yechen or distract him. Fortunately, Su Hu's reinforcements soon joined the battle, and the air was filled with the cacophony of clashing steel and battle cries. Blades gleamed as they swung wildly, each assailant intent on bringing down Gu Yechen. They charged like frenzied beasts, heedless of their own safety. But the sheer number of the Darkblade gang began to turn the tide in their favor. Apart from Qin Lang, everyone else suffered injuries, even Su Hu, who sustained a wound on his arm, blood streaming down. Yet he gritted his teeth and fought valiantly. Seek death, Gu Yechen bellowed, his voice reverberating like thunder across the chaotic battlefield. His tone was infused with rage and a murderous intent that struck fear into the hearts of his foes. His eyes blazed like an inferno, making it difficult to meet his gaze. In that instant, he unleashed a formidable aura and plunged into the melee. Like a shadow, he appeared before an adversary wielding a knife aimed at Su Hu, seizing the opponent's wrist with a swift motion that resulted in a sickening crack as the wrist broke. He swiftly wrested the blade from the assailant and retaliated, cleaving through the enemy's arm before incapacitating him entirely. With Gu Yechen's roar, several members of the Darkblade gang fell. His techniques were razor-sharp, each strike imbued with deadly power, instilling dread in his opponents. Yet, the Darkblade gang did not falter. Rather, they fought with renewed ferocity, like wild beasts driven by madness, their eyes gleaming with a frenzied light, as if they had lost all rationality. Stop! A thunderous voice boomed, and a burly figure strode forward, Zhao Chang, the vice leader of the Darkblade gang. A formidable fifth-tier warrior, nearly a match for Gu Yechen, though not on par with Qin Lang. A smirk of arrogance adorned his face, as if he were bestowing mercy upon Gu Yechen and his companions. Today and Appos, events end here. What do you say? Zhao Chang proposed, his tone laced with a hint of menace, but predominantly arrogance. Convinced that he held the upper hand and that Gu Yechen's group was bereft of the will to resist. You dare to bully my people and think it can end like this? Do you wish for everyone to trample upon my dignity? Gu Yechen glared coldly at Zhao Chang, his eyes ablaze with fury. His heart surged with indignation. He could not permit the Darkblade gang to triumph so easily. You insolent brat. Do not underestimate the Darkblade gang, Zhao Chang threatened, gripping the hilt of his blade tightly, his muscles coiling as if ready to strike at any moment. I shall see what you can do to me. Gu Yechen, unafraid, stepped directly before Zhao Chang. The two clashed in an instant, their speed blurring the lines of perception, their strikes intertwining in a dazzling display. Zhao Chang initiated the assault, swinging his great sword with a fierce whoosh aimed at Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen sidestepped effortlessly, countering with a punch aimed at Zhao Chang's chest. Zhao Chang reacted quickly, blocking with his arm, but was still forced back several steps. Feeling as though he had been struck with a heavy hammer, gasping for breath, he felt the pain in his chest intensify, and he gritted his teeth, tightening his grip on the sword hilt, preparing for another round of assault. However, Gu Yechen would not grant him the opportunity. Seizing the moment, Gu Yechen delivered a swift kick to Zhao Chang's abdomen. The pain caused Zhao Chang to falter, and Gu Yechen capitalized on this, unleashing a flurry of strikes, his fists like meteors, his legs like whirlwinds. Zhao Chang gradually found himself overwhelmed, exposing vulnerabilities. With a deft sidekick, Gu Yechen sent Zhao Chang crashing to the ground. Is this all you've got? Gu Yechen taunted, his voice dripping with disdain and contempt, igniting a firestorm of rage and humiliation within Zhao Chang. Furious and humiliated, Zhao Chang rose from the ground, intent on striking again. But Gu Yechen denied him that chance, lunging forward and landing a punch squarely on Zhao Chang's face. Blood spattered as Zhao Chang collapsed once more. At this moment, the remaining members of the Darkblade gang, witnessing their vice leader's defeat, began to panic. They had believed themselves to hold the upper hand, only to be astonished by Gu Yechen's formidable strength. Fear and uncertainty gripped their hearts as they faltered. Seizing the momentum, Gu Yechen pressed on, carving through the Dark Blade gang like a force of nature, leaving a trail of fallen foes in his wake. Qin Lang also showcased his formidable prowess, dispatching the enemies that besieged him one by one. Su Hu and his subordinates, invigorated by the tide of battle, charged forth with newfound zeal. Ultimately, the Dark Blade gang was utterly vanquished, their entire force laid low, their meridians shattered. The battlefield lay in disarray, the ground stained crimson with blood. Gu Yechen approached Su Hu, expressing gratitude. Brother Su, thank you for your assistance. Mr. Gu, you are too kind. Without you, victory would have been elusive, Su Hu replied, shaking his head. Xia Yutong rushed towards Gu Yechen, collapsing into his embrace. Tears streaming down her face as she exclaimed, I was so worried about you. It is all right now. It is over, Gu Yechen comforted, gently stroking Xia Yutong's hair, his heart brimming with tenderness. Chapter 154, Gu Yechen, as fearsome as death. Gu Yechen's face was as dark as ink, his gaze imbued with a piercing chill. He turned to Su Hu and said, Brother Su, I would appreciate it if you could find me a place. I need to settle some scores. Su Hu nodded respectfully and promptly made a call to Wang Long to explain the situation. Subsequently, he led everyone to a mountaintop warehouse, a remote stronghold of the Flying Dragon Gang, surrounded by desolation for 15 kilometers, a perfect locale for resolving matters. Gu Yechen gazed tenderly at Xia Yutong, gently caressing her hair. Let me take you home first, shall I? Xia Yutong shook her head, leaning closely against Gu Yechen's shoulder. Can I accompany you to see? A flicker of hesitation crossed Gu Yechen's heart. He was acutely aware that what he was about to do could be exceedingly ruthless and brutal. He did not wish for such an innocent girl to witness a scene drenched in blood. After all, he had always been a figure of utmost gentleness in her eyes. Upon seeing the hopeful glimmer in Xia Yutong's eyes, Gu Yechen sighed with resignation, gently kissing her forehead. My dear, this is for your own good. You are still young. Such matters are not for you to witness. Xia Yutong stubbornly replied, I am not a child anymore. I turned 18 today. The determination radiating from her eyes rendered Gu Yechen unable to refuse. He playfully pinched her nose and ultimately nodded in acquiescence. A radiant smile blossomed on Xia Yutong's face as she planted a kiss on Gu Yechen's cheek, expressing her joy. In her heart, the bond between them had long transcended mere friendship. Gu Yechen had rescued her from peril on numerous occasions, and the events of their childhood had only deepened her affections for him. Inside the warehouse, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Gu Yechen sat quietly in a chair, facing approximately 30 individuals, all rendered impotent by severed meridians. His gaze was frigid as ice, and his tone, though calm, bore an air of authority. Speak. Who sent you? One bald man, pale from enduring excruciating pain, feigned composure. I don't know what you're talking about. Gu Yechen chuckled softly, rising to his feet. He picked up a small knife and, without hesitation, severed the man's thumb. Blood gushed forth as the bald man emitted a harrowing scream, yet he gritted his teeth defiantly, saying, I truly don't know what you mean. I just thought this beautiful lady was stunning. So Gu Yechen shook his head, a smirk of disdain crossing his face. What a tough nut you are. He then proceeded to slice off the bald man's hand, the excruciating agony causing the man to faint. Not amusing at all. You faint from a little pain. I endured over a dozen cuts from your Dark Blade gang. Gu Yechen chuckled, shifting his gaze to a young man named Along. Now you tell me, who instigated your Dark Blade gang? To Along, Gu Yechen's smile resembled that of the Grim Reaper, instilling a profound terror akin to a death sentence. Big brother, please spare me. I have an elderly parent and young children at home. I truly cannot speak. If I do, my family will be in danger. Along pleaded with desperate eyes. Yechen, perhaps we should let this go? Xia Yutong, witnessing the man's plight, instinctively interceded. However, as soon as the words left her lips, she felt remorse. These were villains who sought their lives. Along, seizing upon Xia Yutong's plea, bowed repeatedly, imploring her for mercy. Miss, I beg you save me. Please let me go. I cannot die. His voice was laced with despair. My apologies. I misspoke. You all intend to kill me, Indachin. How could I possibly let you go? A hint of embarrassment crossed Xia Yutong's face as she realized her inadvertent plea had been foolish. She understood that had Su Hu and the others not arrived in time, she might have faced a dire fate, even humiliation at the hands of these men. Anger surged within her at the thought. She wished to rend them limb from limb. Yet she knew she could not bring herself to commit such acts. Gu Yechen affectionately ruffled her hair, saying, Now that's more like it. I was beginning to wonder what was wrong with you. His gentle gaze warmed Xia Yutong's heart. In Gu Yechen's eyes, Xia Yutong, like all his cherished women, was irreplaceable. He would never allow anyone to harm her. At that moment, the tension in the warehouse escalated. Those rendered impotent awaited their fate, their hearts laden with dread. Gu Yechen's fury simmered. Those who dared threaten him, and Xia Yutong, would pay a heavy price. As time lingered, the air in the warehouse felt as if it had solidified. Gu Yechen's murderous intent intensified as he surveyed the incapacitated individuals. He stood slowly, wielding the bloodied knife, advancing step by step toward them. Each step felt like a weight upon their hearts, inciting profound terror. Did you think this was the end? Gu Yechen's voice was frigid and merciless, chilling the hearts of those present. No, you cannot do this to us. One individual cried out in terror. Cannot do this to you? Have you ever considered what you have done to us? A glimmer of cold light flickered in Gu Yechen's eyes as he brandished the knife once more. Blood splattered, and anguished screams echoed, transforming the warehouse into a hellish scene. Gu Yechen's expression remained impassive, as if every action he took was entirely justified. In his heart, Xia Yutong and his women were paramount. For their sake, he would spare no effort. Xia Yutong stood quietly to the side, observing Gu Yechen's ruthless demeanor, her heart a tumult of emotions. She understood that his actions were meant to protect her and provide a secure environment. Yet, she also recognized the overwhelming shock and fear the scene instilled within her. She was uncertain how to confront it all, hoping fervently for a swift resolution. As moments ticked by, the screams in the warehouse gradually faded. Those who had been rendered impotent lay cold and lifeless. Gu Yechen slowly turned, his face smeared with blood, his eyes revealing a hint of fatigue. Brother Su, please handle the aftermath. Gu Yechen transferred $1 billion to Su Hu via his phone. Su Hu felt a surge of trepidation. Gu Yechen had presented himself as a harbinger of death, swinging his scythe to reap lives. Rest assured, Su Hu nodded in agreement. Let us depart, Gu Yechen said softly. Xia Yutong nodded and followed him out of the warehouse. The moonlight bathed them, seemingly dispelling the surrounding darkness. Gu Yechen held Xia Yutong's hand tightly, aware that she must be frightened. As Gu Yechen drove into the British mansion, Xia Yutong, seated in the passenger seat, felt a wave of astonishment at the sight of his home. Chapter 155. Taking Xia Yutong home. Is this your home? Xia Yutong stepped inside and gazed at the exquisitely luxurious decor, her eyes widening in astonishment and wonder. Though her family had never been lacking in wealth and she had encountered numerous lavish scenes, the fact that Gu Yechen, at the tender age of 18, could afford such an opulent residence through his own efforts left her utterly amazed. What do you think? It should be acceptable, right? Gu Yechen smiled, his grin radiant as sunlight, exuding confidence and pride, as if everything had unfolded precisely as he had envisioned. You are remarkable for being able to acquire a penthouse in the prestigious British estate through your own endeavors. Xia Yutong couldn't help but praise, her bright eyes scanning every exquisite detail of the home, her admiration for Gu Yechen deepening. Her gaze lingered on the dazzling chandelier, then shifted to the exquisite furniture, silently marveling at Gu Yechen's extraordinary achievements. Of course, have you forgotten who I am? Gu Yechen quipped, pouring a glass of juice for Xia Yutong. Host, you truly have no shame. This is all thanks to the system. Just as Gu Yechen basked in Xia Yutong's admiring praise, the system's voice, tinged with playful reproach, echoed in his mind. Gu Yechen chose to ignore it, inwardly muttering. The house was indeed purchased through my relentless effort and intellect, though the system provided financial assistance. My hard work and struggle are what truly matter. This success rightfully belongs to me. I'll take a shower first. Please make yourself comfortable, Gu Yechen said, glancing at Xia Yutong, a hint of fatigue betraying his demeanor after a long day of hustle and bustle, with traces of blood evident on his attire. Desperately needing a warm bath to rejuvenate. Xia Yutong nodded obediently, resembling a docile little cat, as she settled onto the plush sofa. Half an hour later, Gu Yechen emerged from the bathroom clad in a pristine white bathrobe, its fine fabric gleaming softly under the lights. Xia Yutong was engrossed in the television when she turned to see him, momentarily rendered speechless, as if caught in a spell. The bathrobe, slightly open at the collar, revealed his sculpted chest, droplets of water glistening in his hair, cascading down his chiseled cheek like morning dew on petals. His striking features, deep and captivating gaze, and the subtle hint of his chest muscles caused Xia Yutong's heart to race, as if a startled deer were bounding within her chest. Xia Yutong stared, entranced, as time seemed to freeze, leaving only the enchanting figure of Gu Yechen in her world. What are you looking at? Gu Yechen approached her, his voice warm and deep, reminiscent of a melodious nocturne. He gently ruffled her hair, a gesture filled with affection. Xia Yutong snapped back to reality, her cheeks flushing crimson like a ripe apple. Stammering, she replied, "It's nothing. I just think you're really handsome." Her voice was a mere whisper, tinged with shyness and fluster. Go take a shower, Gu Yechen suggested with a smile, his expression as gentle as a spring breeze, instilling warmth in her heart. He then led Xia Yutong to the master bedroom, rifling through the wardrobe until he found a brand new pink bathrobe for her. The robe was soft and smooth, adorned with exquisite embroidery. Upon receiving it, Xia Yutong's face turned a deeper shade of red, akin to a startled rabbit as she hurried away. Gu Yechen chuckled, shaking his head with a mix of helplessness and anticipation as he watched her retreat. Yet, his expression darkened abruptly. Having learned from the assassin of the Dark Blade gang that everything was orchestrated by the Mo family, he had yet to settle the score with them. But their unwarranted aggression would leave him with no choice but to be ruthless. System, initiate a lottery. Gu Yechen communicated with the system in his mind. Oh, so you do know about the lottery. You seemed quite pleased earlier, pretending to be oblivious. The system retorted with a sarcastic tone, filled with grievances. Brother system, I acknowledge you as my elder. Gu Yechen replied, exasperated, lamenting internally over the system's seemingly vindictive memory. Congratulations, host, you've acquired a misfortune card. Using it on a designated individual or family will cause them to encounter unexpected problems in a short time, all of which will occur naturally. The system's voice rang out, igniting a spark of excitement in Gu Yechen's eyes as a ruthless plan began to take shape in his mind. Not long after, Xia Yutong emerged from her shower, donning the pink bathrobe that gracefully revealed her delicate collarbone. Her damp hair cascaded over her shoulders, with a few strands artfully framing her rosy cheeks, exuding an irresistible allure akin to a freshly bloomed lotus, both refreshing and captivating. At that moment, Gu Yechen felt an overwhelming urge to possess her, a deep-seated desire bubbling within him. You look stunning, Gu Yechen murmured, his voice laced with affection and longing. Hearing his words, Xia Yutong's face flushed even deeper, reminiscent of a brilliant sunset. She lowered her gaze, her long eyelashes fluttering, acutely aware that something extraordinary might transpire this evening. As a reserved academic, she pondered whether surrendering herself so easily would lead Gu Yechen to perceive her as frivolous. Observing her bashful demeanor, Gu Yechen rose and approached her, gently lifting her chin to meet his gaze, filled with love and desire. He then leaned down, softly kissing her lips. In that instant, time seemed to stand still, the world narrowing to just the two of them. Xia Yutong gasped, her body trembling as she closed her eyes, frozen in place, allowing Gu Yechen to kiss her. After a moment, she wrapped her arms around his neck, clumsily responding to his fervor. After the kiss, they embraced on the bedroom sofa, the rhythm of their heartbeats resonating in harmony like a captivating symphony. As their breaths steadied, their warmth intertwined, enveloping them in a world that revolved solely around each other. Stay tonight, please? Gu Yechen whispered in her ear, his voice filled with anticipation. Xia Yutong felt torn. On one hand, she yearned to remain with Gu Yechen, yet on the other, she hesitated at the thought of yielding too quickly. Ultimately, she nodded gently, her face alight with happiness and contentment. Is that all right? With everything in place, their mutual desire became undeniable. It and Oppos. That's my first time. Please be gentle. Xia Yutong's shy voice broke through, as she dared not dwell on the pain of first experiences, having heard tales of discomfort. In that moment, Xia Yutong chose to disregard the whispers of others regarding Gu Yechen and Oppos' past entanglements. She simply wished for this night, for the man before her who had saved her time and again. With a muffled gasp, Xia Yutong's nails dug into Gu Yechen's arm, leaving marks in their wake. Details omitted. 2.5 hours later, as the night deepened, they lay entwined in slumber, the moonlight pouring through the window, draping them in a silvery veil. Everything appeared so tranquil and beautiful, as if time itself had paused for them, allowing this moment of warmth to become eternal. Chapter 156. The use of the misfortune card. The following day, the sun began its ascent, with golden rays of light stealthily infiltrating the room through the gaps in the curtains. Gu Yechen awoke from his slumber, his gaze falling upon the enchanting woman cradled in his arms, reminiscent of a sleeping beauty. A flicker of regret stirred within him. He should not have rushed into intimacy with Xia Yutong. He could only blame his own inability to control his desires the previous night, particularly as Xia Yutong, fresh from her bath, radiated an ethereal beauty that rendered him utterly irrational. Gu Yechen carefully extricated his arm from her embrace, shaking off the numbness. His movements gentle and deliberate. He tiptoed to the washroom to freshen up, then returned to the bedside, planting a soft kiss upon Xia Yutong's forehead, as tender as a dragonfly alighting on water, before turning to prepare breakfast. Congratulations, host, on acquiring Xia Yutong. The target meets the requirements. Reward, 1 lottery draw, 1 physical attribute. Glancing at his status panel, Gu Yechen noted. Name, Gu Yechen. Age, 18. Physical strength, 159. Mental power, 100. Attractiveness, 95. Special abilities, skilled driver. Academic prowess, divine medical skills, unparalleled combat techniques, supreme hacking skills, Eye of Void, golden kidneys. Special items, purple gold black card, misfortune card. Identity, chairman of Feiyue Corporation, chairman of Feiyue Group, chairman of Shuyuexuan International Hotel, shareholder of Blueprint Group, owner of Century Plaza Shopping Center, owner of Yunding Building. Among others, enhancement points, 100 lottery draws, 3 system, apply the misfortune card on the Mo family in Shanghai City. Gu Yechen held a poor impression of the Mo family and relished the thought of them experiencing hardship. The misfortune card has been successfully applied to the Mo family. Duration, 24 hours. A smile crept across Gu Yechen's face. In truth, I had no desire to act against you. It is merely that the misfortune card is of no use left idle. Half an hour later, Xia Yutong stirred awake. Noticing Gu Yechen absent from her side, a wave of anxiety washed over her, her emotions becoming tumultuous. She couldn't help but entertain dark thoughts. Would Gu Yechen lose interest in her now that he had possessed her? The disarray of the room and the dark red stains on the white sheets served as constant reminders that she was no longer the naive girl she once was. Uncertain of whether her choices were right or wrong, she felt an unsettling emptiness in her heart in Gu Yechen's absence, her breath quickening with apprehension, suppressing her discomfort. Xia Yutong began to tidy the room. Upon spotting the used umbrella, her cheeks flushed crimson, as if burned by fire. She hurriedly picked it up and tossed it into the trash. In the bathroom, Xia Yutong gazed into the mirror, her eyes slightly dazed. Suddenly, she felt a profound sense of growth, having experienced intimacy. Reminded of Gu Yechen's overwhelming charm and passion from the previous night, she instinctively yearned for him, only to shake her head and strive for clarity. Xia Yutong, you are not that kind of person, she urged herself, rallying her spirits before washing her face under the cascading water. Mo family, Mo Dian awoke early, descending the stairs with sleepy eyes. As he yawned and stretched, he paid little attention to his footing. Suddenly, he misstepped, losing his balance and tumbling down the stairs. Ah! He screamed in terror, his head striking the ground. And he succumbed to unconsciousness. Hearing the commotion, Madame Mo rushed to his side, horrified to find her husband motionless on the floor, paralyzing her with fear as she cried out, "Help! Someone please!" The Mo family's servants scrambled to the scene. Some called for emergency assistance while others attempted to lift Mo Dian. Chaos ensued. Simultaneously, a large machine in the Mo family's factory malfunctioned, sparking a fire that sent workers fleeing in panic, their cries echoing in disarray. In prison, Mo Ziu tragically choked to death during a meal, his eyes wide open in eternal shock. The Mo family's stocks plummeted in the market, investors frantically selling off shares, severing the family's financial lifeline. Mo Yihan, the eldest son, set out in his car, but met with a catastrophic accident, leaving the vehicle unrecognizable, his fate unknown. Business partners of the Mo family received a deluge of adverse news, terminating their collaborations, plunging the Mo family into unprecedented turmoil. In the Mo villa, Madame Mo was frantic, her hair disheveled, tears streaming down her face. What on earth is happening? Why has our family been beset by such calamities overnight? She screamed in despair. All of this stemmed from the misfortune card employed by Gu Yechen, binding the Mo family in a relentless grip of misfortune for 24 hours. Having just returned from a trip, Madame Mo was blindsided by the unfolding chaos. Upon the arrival of the ambulance, she hurried to the hospital. On the way, she received a call. "Hello, are you a relative of Mo Yihan?" The voice on the other end sent a shiver through her. "Yes, what is it?" she asked, trembling. Mo Yihan has been in an accident and is currently undergoing emergency treatment at our hospital. Could you please come? The news left Madame Mo breathless. Which hospital? City First Hospital. Yes, I am on my way. I'll be there shortly. She hung up, feeling as though her very essence had been stripped away. English manner Xia Yutong cut the red-stained sheet and placed it in her bag before descending the stairs. Awake? Is it still painful? Gu Yechen approached her, steadying her gently, his voice soft with concern. Seeing Gu Yechen had risen early to prepare breakfast warmed Xia Yutong's heart. She shook her head, saying, "I am not in pain." Gu Yechen planted a kiss on her lips and smiled. "Time for breakfast. I made seafood congee for you. It includes abalone and crab, among other delicacies." Chapter 157, Blind Optimism and Foolish Confidence. After dining, Gu Yechen hurriedly accompanied Xia Yutong home before making his way to the second hospital, for today marked Jiang Qingyin's discharge. At a flower shop, Gu Yechen meticulously selected a bouquet of 99 exquisite roses. The blossoms, resplendent and vibrant, clustered together, their petals soft as velvet, exuding an enchanting fragrance. Suddenly, a sleek black sedan appeared beside him, the jarring screech of brakes shattering the tranquility of the street. 5 individuals emerged from the vehicle, led by a burly man with a chilling gaze. Towering like an iron monument, he emanated an oppressive aura. "Mr. Gu, please," the leader gestured imperiously, his demeanor brimming with arrogance, as if declaring that Gu Yechen had no choice but to comply. His eyes radiated an unyielding certainty, suggesting he was convinced that Gu Yechen would heed his command. "Where are we going? Who are you?" Gu Yechen stood calmly, the delicate scent of the roses lingering in his grasp. He exuded an air of composure, resembling a steadfast pine, unaffected by the abrupt turn of events. His demeanor remained unflustered, his gaze unwavering, as if the unfolding scene were merely an inconsequential interruption. "Mr. Gu, don't force our hand. You know precisely who you've offended. If you come with us, you might even spare yourself some pain." The leader's voice dripped with menace, its deep timbre reminiscent of a growl from the depths of hell, his eyes glinting with a fierce hunger, akin to a wolf eyeing its prey. "Oh, and who sent you?" Gu Yechen replied with a hint of amusement. "After all, I have offended many. Surely, I deserve clarity on this matter, don't you think?" His smile, laced with mockery, seemed to deride the audacity of his assailants. Confidence shimmered in his eyes, rendering the threats before him trivial. Mr. Gu, I advise you not to refuse our hospitality. There are 5 of us against you alone. It's ill-advised to resist. The leader stepped forward, his movements heavy and deliberate, attempting to leverage their numerical superiority to intimidate Gu Yechen. His expression twisted into a sinister grin, anticipating Gu Yechen's capitulation. And if I choose not to? Gu Yechen scoffed, his tone dripping with disdain. If your demand compels me to follow, wouldn't he that strip me of my dignity? You could simply send Zhou Zhixing or Shen Yinchuan to fetch me instead. What? Are they too afraid to come? His laughter exuded an unyielding bravery, as if confronting not formidable foes, but mere jesters. Then there's nothing more to discuss. The leader waved his hand decisively. Instantly, the 4 bodyguards encircled Gu Yechen like ravenous wolves, their eyes gleaming with malice, each emanating a potent aura of martial prowess, brimming with lethal intent, as if they longed to devour him whole. I merely wish to live peacefully. Why must there always be those seeking trouble? Why do they believe they can extinguish my life? Is this not the epitome of blind optimism and foolish confidence? Gu Yechen shook his head, a look of resignation crossing his face. His words bore a tinge of lament and bewilderment, as if weary of such senseless conflict. In the blink of an eye, he moved like a specter, for muffled thuds echoed in quick succession, abrupt and dull. The assailants collapsed to the ground, groaning in agony, utterly unable to utter a word. Their meridians lay severed, rendered powerless in an instant. The leader, a peak 4th-tier martial artist, was left in shock as he witnessed his 3-tier subordinates fall in a single stroke, unable to comprehend the swiftness of Gu Yechen's actions. His eyes widened in disbelief, filled with terror and astonishment. He had never witnessed such rapid prowess. Even the Zhou family's strongest 6th-tier martial artist would pale in comparison. What now? Care for a discussion? Gu Yechen inquired with feigned intrigue, a glint of amusement dancing in his eyes. He narrowed his gaze, a subtle smile gracing his lips, almost relishing in the opponent's disarray. He was typically magnanimous towards those who sought his life, at most ensuring their utter obliteration. My apologies. I mistook you for someone else. The man stammered awkwardly, a forced smile on his lips. I was after Gu Chun, not realizing you shared the same surname. What a twist of fate. His smile faltered, eyes filled with fear and desperation. Gu Yechen regarded such individuals with disdain. His subordinates had already acted. Yet here this man stood, trembling. Coward. Gu Yechen chastised, berating him relentlessly, his right hand delivering sharp slaps that resonated through the street, each crack echoing his fury. The man's face swelled, reddened like a ripe peach. Now, tell me, who sent you to attack me? Gu Yechen inquired, shaking his hand, his gaze frigid enough to freeze. His stare was as sharp as a blade, evoking trepidation in the hearts of those who dared to meet it. Zhou Rulong, the head of the Zhou family, sent us. The man quaked, blood oozing from his battered lips, nearly crushed by Gu Yechen's blows. But he was alive, and for him, that was a victory. His voice trembled, laced with infinite fear and submission. Gu Yechen snorted. Zhou Rulong? He truly is tenacious. His tone brimmed with ire and scorn, as if Zhou Rulong's antics were little more than a farcical display. Mr. Gu, I was merely following orders. Please, spare me. The man pleaded desperately, his body shaking like a leaf in the autumn breeze. Spare you? That hinges on your forthcoming actions. Return and inform Zhou Rulong that I will settle this score in due time. Gu Yechen bellowed, his voice thunderous and fearsome. Of course, I'll relay your message. The man nodded fervently, akin to a child obeying his parent. Without another word, Gu Yechen turned away, striding toward the hospital with unwavering resolve, his silhouette towering under the sun. The man exhaled in relief, glaring at his subordinates, cursing, a bunch of useless fools, for if you couldn't handle a single man. Just as he prepared to leave, he noticed Gu Yechen returning, and his heart sank with dread. In an instant, Gu Yechen approached him, breaking both his legs and left hand, leaving only his right. Now, that is more like it. Gu Yechen murmured to himself as he departed. Chapter 158. Tang Mi was astonished. In the hospital, Jiang Qingyan had already packed her belongings and was quietly seated by the bedside, her gaze occasionally drifting towards the door. Imbued with a sense of anticipation and urgency, Ning Qianxue stood nearby, observing her dear friend, whose eyes sparkled with emotion and whose demeanor resembled that of a lovesick maiden, and couldn't help but chuckle softly, shaking her head gently. At that moment, Gu Yechen appeared at the doorway. The instant Jiang Qingyan saw him, her face blossomed into a radiant smile, reminiscent of spring flowers, capable of dispelling any gloom. Why did it take you so long? Jiang Qingyan inquired, her voice melodious and soft, akin to a clear mountain stream, tinged with a hint of reproach, yet overwhelmingly sweet. I encountered a minor inconvenience on the way, Gu Yechen explained, presenting her with a lush bouquet of roses, vibrant and dripping with dew. He then gently pressed his lips against hers, murmuring tenderly, I'm here to take you home. His movements were fluid and natural, his gaze brimming with affection and care, as though Jiang Qingyan were the very center of his universe. Blushing, Jiang Qingyan accepted the flowers, burying her face in their petals to inhale their fragrance. her expression radiant with happiness. Thank you. These flowers are truly beautiful. Her smile resembled a flower basking in sunlight, emanating warmth and joy. Unbeknownst to her, she could not fathom why she had suddenly developed feelings for this man from afar. It simply felt different. When she learned that Gu Yechen was not her original brother, she experienced profound sorrow. Yet, she hadn't anticipated that this Gu Yechen would evoke such distinct feelings that made her reluctant to part from him. Qianxue, thank you for taking care of Xiaoyan. Gu Yechen stepped forward, enveloping Ning Qianxue in a warm embrace, and placing a gentle kiss on her forehead to express his gratitude. Why does Xiaoyan get a kiss on the lips while I only receive one on the forehead? Ning Qianxue looked at Gu Yechen, her eyes twinkling with playful discontent, her pouting expression reminiscent of a lively young girl. Jiang Qingyan, upon hearing this, stifled a laugh, her eyes filled with affection and indulgence towards her friend. Gu Yechen chuckled helplessly, his gaze filled with fondness, taken aback that Ning Qianxue, at 27, still exhibited such childlike playfulness. He gently cradled her face and placed a kiss on her lips as well. Is this acceptable? He inquired softly, brushing her cheek with his hand, his voice imbued with tenderness and care. You've passed this time. Ning Qianxue's cheeks flushed a deep red, akin to the resplendent sunset, her bashful demeanor evoking a sense of endearment. Nearby, Tang Mi witnessed this scene, her eyes widening in disbelief. The display before her rendered her momentarily speechless. Having spent her time in the military and never having witnessed such affectionate warmth before, could this truly be what she was witnessing? This was a situation where two women were willingly involved with the same man. What kind of arrangement was this? Had it been her, she would have swiftly dealt with Gu Yechen, whom she perceived to be a scoundrel. Miss Tang, thank you for watching over Qingyan. Gu Yechen extended his hand, his gaze earnest and sincere. Tang Mi found herself inexplicably shaking his hand. It's nothing. Since I've been assigned to protect Miss Jiang, it is my duty. Her voice was slightly hesitant, still reeling from her earlier astonishment. Her orders were clear, to safeguard Jiang Qingyan at all costs, even if it meant sacrificing her own life. Such directives were not unfamiliar to her, yet she had never expected her charge to be a woman. The group exited the hospital, sunlight bathing them in warmth, casting gentle shadows as they made their way to the company. At Xinyan Group, despite Jiang Qingyan's hospitalization, she had ensured that Old Master Fan remained updated on pertinent matters, so the project's progress had not faltered. Old Fan, Commander Feng, how are things progressing? Gu Yechen inquired eagerly upon arriving at the company, his eyes filled with concern and anticipation as he hurried his steps. Tang Mi remained outside, but upon seeing Fan Jingde and Feng Tianlong, she was momentarily stunned. This was her first close encounter with the esteemed commander, heightening her curiosity about Gu Yechen's identity. Anyone who conversed with Old Fan and Commander Feng could hardly be an ordinary person. It was no wonder she had been dispatched to protect Jiang Qingyan. Regardless of the cost, she was perceptive and quickly deduced that this matter was anything but ordinary. Everything is proceeding smoothly. The researchers are all top talents dispatched by the state. Following Zhang's directives, we have implemented a clear division of labor. Although progress may be somewhat slower, there is no fear of leaks. Fan Jingde stated seriously, a hint of exhaustion on his face, yet more so a sense of pride and satisfaction. You've worked hard. Gu Yechen regarded the elderly figure before him, who had dedicated himself to the research, his heart filled with admiration. He deeply appreciated Fan Jingde's commitment and perseverance, a dedication that was truly moving. It's nothing. If this project can prolong my life, my efforts are but a small price to pay. Moreover, if successfully developed, it would hold significant implications for the nation. Your project has now been classified as top secret, with all personnel replaced by soldiers for security, indicating the high level of importance the state places on it. Fan Jingde's expression was grave, his tone reflective of the project's significance and his loyalty to the nation. Indeed, if the physical enhancement formula were to leak, the consequences could be dire, particularly if it fell into enemy hands. Per state directives, all personnel are to remain on-site and cannot leave. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, Fan Jingde expressed, a hint of respect towards Gu Yechen for bearing such a crucial responsibility at a young age. Xiao Chun, at that moment, Feng Tianlong called out to Gu Yechen, his voice steady and authoritative, imbued with undeniable gravitas. Commander Feng, what is it? Gu Yechen responded, somewhat surprised but standing tall and dignified. The state has instructed me to hand this over to you. Feng Tianlong produced a box, its surface adorned with the 8-1 military emblem, a symbol of honor and mission, radiating solemnity and sanctity. Upon seeing it, Gu Yechen's eyes grew distant, as if overwhelmed by the weight of the responsibility it represented. Commander Feng, am I truly worthy of this? He asked, taken aback, knowing the significance of the emblem. You are more than qualified. This physical enhancement formula is crucial for the troops. It could save their lives. On their behalf, I thank you. Feng Tianlong saluted Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen was startled, quickly stepping aside to avoid receiving the military salute directly. Yet, He recognized the significance of this matter for the nation. Outside, Tang Mi was rendered speechless upon witnessing Feng Tianlong salute Gu Yechen. She was utterly astonished. Initially perceiving Gu Yechen as a heartless scoundrel, her understanding of him had completely transformed. She now realized that his identity was far from ordinary, and his relationship with Jiang Qingyan was equally significant, explaining her assignment to protect her. Gu Yechen adjusted his attire and stood firm, saluting the 8-1 military emblem. Though he had never served, he understood the sanctity of the emblem. With a serious demeanor, he accepted the box, his expression solemn and meticulous, as if accepting an invaluable mission. Feng Tianlong felt a sense of relief witnessing Gu Yechen's demeanor. As the box was opened. Chapter 159, the badge. Upon opening the box, a badge lay quietly within. Under the soft illumination, it shimmered with a unique luster, exuding an air of mystery and solemnity. Gu Yechen, somewhat perplexed, furrowed his brows and inquired of Commander Feng Tianlong, "What is this?" "This item is a token of the Dragon Group." Feng Tianlong replied with a calm demeanor, his tone seemingly as tranquil as still water, yet his eyes betrayed a hint of gravity, as if the mere utterance of those words bore immense weight. However, Gu Yechen was left in bewilderment, for he had never encountered such a term before. In contrast, Fan Jingde, standing nearby, appeared electrified, trembling with excitement. His hands gripped Feng Tianlong's tightly, the pressure causing his knuckles to turn pale. "Old Feng, are you saying that the state has awarded Yechen the Dragon Group badge?" Fan Jingde's voice quivered with enthusiasm, as if he were a string poised to snap in the wind. His gaze was a tumultuous blend of disbelief and joy, fervent enough to scorch. "Indeed. This signifies the state's recognition of you, young friend Yechen." Feng Tianlong smiled gently, his expression imbued with admiration and hope. The corners of his mouth curved into a warm arc, and the light in his eyes radiated like the gentle sun of spring. "Fanlao, what exactly does this Dragon Group badge signify?" Gu Yechen's curiosity intensified upon hearing their exchange, his mind swirling with questions. What manner of enigmatic organization was this Dragon Group? He had yet to fully comprehend the explosive gang, and now another entity emerged before him, filling his gaze with uncertainty and intrigue. "Let Commander Feng elucidate this matter." Fan Jingde chuckled softly, his expression benevolent and his gaze directed kindly at Gu Yechen, resembling a loving father watching over a cherished child. Turning his attention back to Feng Tianlong, Gu Yechen's eyes sparkled with anticipation and inquiry, as if he aimed to uncover the secrets nestled within the commander's heart. The Dragon Group is an exceptionally unique organization, meticulously established by the state. Its members are predominantly individuals endowed with special abilities, commonly referred to as martial artists. You may envision them as advanced special forces. Their purpose is to combat the most heinous criminals abroad, those who dare to wreak havoc in our homeland. Whenever such criminals emerge, the leadership of the Dragon Group swiftly alerts the nearest members to neutralize the threat. Feng Tianlong's voice resonated with authority, each word imbued with undeniable gravitas. The bestowal of this Dragon Group badge upon you signifies the state's high regard for your capabilities and your undeniable importance to the nation. However, as per state directives, you are not obliged to undertake missions unless in extraordinary circumstances. Should you require assistance, you may call upon the members of the Dragon Group. This is a privilege granted to you by the state, intended for your safety, he declared, his gaze unwavering and tone serious. Moreover, members of the Dragon Group enjoy considerable autonomy. While they are prohibited from bullying defenseless civilians, should their lives be endangered or the honor of the Dragon Group insulted, they are compelled to act decisively to uphold its dignity. The insignia they bear is a military crest that must not be desecrated. Each member possesses the authority to take extreme measures if necessary, Feng Tianlong asserted, his countenance grave, as if he were hewn from stone, exuding an air of solemnity. Gu Yechen was taken aback to find himself inexplicably inducted into the Dragon Group, a member of the nation's most formidable organization. His heart fluttered with both elation and a tinge of trepidation regarding the unknown. At that moment, a tall, haughty man strode into the room, radiating arrogance. He towered like a proud pine, yet his expression was rife with disdain. Casting a sidelong glance at Gu Yechen, he scoffed. Does he truly think he belongs in the Dragon Group? Just a mere boy. Gu Yechen frowned, but before he could respond, Feng Tianlong's voice thundered, "Zhao Gang, you shall show respect. This is the decision of the state." Yet Zhao Gang remained unperturbed, continuing his derision. "I see nothing but favoritism. How could he possibly earn the Dragon Group badge?" Zhao Gang was also a member of the Dragon Group, known for his integrity and disdain for wrongdoing. "Yechen, allow me to introduce you. This is Zhao Gang, a fellow member of the Dragon Group," Feng Tianlong interjected, attempting to ease the tension. "The Dragon Group is not a place for the faint-hearted. If you're merely here to coast along, I advise you to leave. This is not a gilded sanctuary. It is a realm where lives are at stake," Zhao Gang warned, his gaze sharp as a blade, as if it could cleave Gu Yechen in two. He had witnessed comrades fall before him, an experience he wished to forget. He harbored a deep resentment for those who sought entry into the dragon group without merit. This is a state arrangement. Do you truly believe the government would allow just anyone into such a prestigious organization? Feng Tianlong's displeasure was palpable, his expression darkening like a storm-clouded sky. Commander Feng, that was not my intention. I have always adhered to the state's commands without question. However, this young man appears far too inexperienced for the dragon group. I believe he would be better suited to seek opportunities elsewhere. Zhao Gang insisted with unwavering conviction, his tone resolute and insistent. Gu Yechen let out a cold laugh. If you believe I am unworthy, then why not prove it? His voice was frigid, akin to the biting winds of winter, sending chills through the air. Chapter 160. Zhao Gang's transformation. Zhao Gang scoffed. Let us compete, shall we? I'm not afraid of you. His arched brows and narrowed eyes brimmed with provocation, as if he had already envisioned the scene of his triumph in his mind. Zhao Gang, are you attempting to defy the orders of the state? Feng Tianlong's expression shifted dramatically, darkening like a storm-laden sky. His eyes widened, burning with fury, akin to a volcano poised to erupt at any moment. Not at all. Zhao Gang quickly straightened his posture, feet together and back erect. His loyalty to the nation was unwavering, and the notion of disobeying orders was utterly inconceivable to him. He would rather perish than betray his allegiance. Commander Feng, it's fine. Since he wishes to test himself, I shall oblige, Gu Yechen remarked coolly, his demeanor as calm as a tranquil sea, seemingly unaffected by the surrounding tumult, as if the situation lay entirely within his grasp. This matter ends here. Should anyone utter another word? Do not blame me for my wrath. Feng Tianlong glared at Zhao Gang, his face a mask of anger. His voice was deep and authoritative, like a distant thunder, instilling fear in those who might dare to oppose him. Realizing he had stirred trouble once more, Zhao Gang promptly fell silent, lowering his head like a chastised child, standing obediently, devoid of his earlier bravado. Do not forget your purpose here. I must remind you that the company you are to protect belongs to Yechen. Even if it costs you your life, you must ensure its safety. Seeing Zhao Gang silent, Feng Tianlong's expression softened slightly. His tone was grave, each word striking Zhao Gang's heart like a heavy hammer. I understand, Commander. Zhao Gang replied loudly, his voice resolute, eyes gleaming with determination. He was acutely aware of the significance of this matter. Otherwise, the state and Commander Feng would not be so concerned. It was merely his prior connections that had provoked anger. Gu, my friend, do not take it to heart. I harbor no ill will towards you. I merely detest those who take shortcuts. Zhao Gang smiled, addressing Gu Yechen. His smile bore a hint of regret, and the hostility in his eyes had softened considerably. This is the first time I've heard of the Dragon Team. Do you think they would resort to underhanded means? Gu Yechen shrugged casually, his tone light, as if he had completely dismissed the earlier confrontation from his mind. Zhao Gang recognized that his behavior had been excessive. Looking at Gu Yechen, he apologized. Mr. Gu, I sincerely apologize. I hope you can overlook my brutishness. His demeanor underwent a complete transformation, remorseful sincerity shining in his eyes. Gu Yechen was taken aback. This rebellious spirit was actually apologizing? In his experience, only those who had been subdued would bow their heads in apology. Yet here he was, before any conflict had even erupted. Quite the enigma. Gu Yechen had not anticipated the formidable status of the Dragon Team, capable of decisively eliminating those who insulted them without fear of legal repercussions. Members of the Dragon Team represented its dignity, and every individual was obliged to staunchly uphold that honor. Upon entering his office, Jiang Qingyan gracefully poured him a glass of water. The cup appeared exceptionally delicate in her slender hands. Thank you. Gu Yechen gazed at the stunning woman before him, momentarily entranced. Truth be told, in his previous life, aside from his school days when he had a girlfriend, he would never have had the chance to interact with someone so beautiful. Her allure resembled that of a fairy from a dream, leaving him momentarily dazed. Jiang Qingyan extended a slender finger to his lips, signaling for silence. There is no need for thanks between us. Her finger, delicate and pure, exuded an irresistible charm. Without hesitation, Gu Yechen pushed Jiang Qingyan against the wall and kissed her fervently on her crimson lips. Jiang Qingyan was momentarily stunned, but soon began to respond to Gu Yechen's passionate advance. In broad daylight, with the office door securely locked, Gu Yechen had also arranged an office for Tang Mi adjacent to Jiang Qingyan's. Inside the room, the air was thick with springtime fervor, the sounds of soft gasps rising and falling in a symphony. Tang Mi sat in her office, her cheeks flushed, nervously tugging at the hem of her clothing. Since childhood, her hearing had been unusually acute. She could distinctly discern the intermittent gasps from the adjacent room. Though not entirely clear, she understood well enough what was transpiring. Even seasoned assassins would struggle to hear such sounds, yet for Tang Mi, it came effortlessly. For someone untouched by such experiences, this was a true torment. She couldn't help but envision the exaggerated scenes if the individuals inside were her. The sounds persisted for 2.5 hours before finally subsiding. Tang Mi gazed at her reflection in the mirror, her cheeks still rosy, and she sensed an inexplicable change within herself. Though inexperienced, She had heard enough to know that typically, men lasted only a few minutes at most, yet Gu Yechen had astonishingly endured for 2.5 hours, concluding flawlessly rather than succumbing to exhaustion. Within the room, Jiang Qingyan lay languidly in Gu Yechen's embrace, utterly spent. His prowess had proven overwhelming, and she found it challenging to keep up, yet her face radiated satisfaction, her heart brimming with joy. She had a friend whose husband would rush in without any foreplay, lasting barely 2 minutes. In this domain, Gu Yechen undoubtedly stood at the pinnacle. Jiang Qingyan gazed tenderly at Gu Yechen, believing that women who fail to appreciate such pleasures are truly unfortunate. She felt fortunate to have crossed paths with him. Sister, I've established a company. Gu Yechen slowly began, looking at the beauty nestled in his arms. Oh, what kind of company? What are your plans? Jiang Qingyan's interest piqued, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. I intend to create a holding company dedicated to investments, aiming to merge Qingyan Group, Shuyuexuan, and other companies under one umbrella, to be named Feiyue Group. What do you think? Gu Yechen caressed Jiang Qingyan's cheek, softly inquiring, his voice gentle as a spring breeze, easily captivating several women. That's a commendable idea, but merging them may not be a simple task. What is your next step? Jiang Qingyan's face flushed. She had contemplated such plans before, but the Jiang family lacked the necessary strength. I plan to delve into new energy electric vehicles. Recently, the Mo family has encountered one misfortune after another. I intend to acquire their company as a foundation for developing our own electric vehicles. Gu Yechen smiled, confidence radiating from his gaze. That's an excellent idea. Electric vehicles only require charging to operate. While they may not replace gasoline cars, their prospects are undoubtedly promising. Jiang Qingyan exclaimed, realization dawning upon her. She hadn't anticipated Gu Yechen's foresight. She couldn't help but feel a sense of inadequacy. Jiang Qingyan's fingers glided gently over Gu Yechen's neck as she remarked, "You're truly remarkable to have considered this. It seems there isn't yet a single electric vehicle on the market." As Jiang Qingyan's fingers brushed against him, Gu Yechen couldn't help but shiver, thinking, this woman is playing with fire. Sister, do you realize you're playing with fire? Gu Yechen chuckled. Feeling a sudden shift in the atmosphere, Jiang Qingyan swiftly dressed. Unwilling to remain with Gu Yechen any longer, she could not endure a second round of such intensity. She would leave that to Ning Qinxue. Chapter 161. Acquiring shares of the Mo Group online. The Mo family's affairs were being exposed one after another, like a surging tide, overwhelming and relentless. Mo Ihan, due to a shocking car accident, sustained severe injuries. His waist endured a catastrophic blow, plunging him into the depths of paralysis, rendering his once proud spine incapable of supporting his form. His legs, subjected to merciless pressure for an extended period, faced the tragic fate of amputation. He had harbored grand ambitions to elevate the Mo Group, yet fate cruelly toyed with him, leading him to falter before Gu Yechen, a man endowed with a mysterious system. In the cold confines of a prison, Mo Ziyu quietly passed away, while Mo Duyuan, after tumbling down the stairs, became a mindless vegetable. Even Mo Duyuan's recently returned wife encountered a car accident on her way. Fortunately, her injuries were not severe, merely a fracture. However, this series of calamities seemed orchestrated by some unseen force. The entire Mo family, along with their relatives, found themselves ensnared in a dire plight. Gu Yechen observed the deluge of news online, a slight smile gracing his lips, as he mused to himself. The misfortune card of the system is truly extraordinary. Having just begun its use, the Mo family is already on the brink of collapse, as if about to plunge into an abyss of despair. This torrent of heavy blows caused the Mo family's stock to plummet like a kite severed from its string, descending to an astonishingly low point. Stocks were abandoned like discarded rags, frantically sold off by panicked investors, including even those once steadfast shareholders who, in this storm, opted for self-preservation, hastily liquidating their holdings. Gu Yechen, with keen insight, unhesitatingly acquired all these forsaken stocks, thus enabling the Mo Group to effortlessly embrace a new dominion amidst the tumult. Calm and composed, Gu Yechen arrived at the Mo Group. The moment he stepped through the company's entrance, he was met with a palpable sense of chaos and disorder. With the chairman in a coma and the president paralyzed and unable to speak, the organization appeared to have lost its anchor, descending into disarray. Good day, sir. May I ask your surname? Who are you here to see? As Gu Yechen surveyed the somewhat chaotic lobby, a woman in a neat uniform approached him. Her face adorned with a warm, professional smile, softly inquiring. Gu Yechen glanced at the woman with casual indifference. Name, Xiao Ku. Age, 23. Appearance, 85. Development instances, 0 character traits. Proficient in secretarial management, a graduate of Kyoto University, comes from an average family, neither affluent nor struggling, free from financial burdens. Upon reviewing her profile, Gu Yechen felt a twinge of regret. She was yet unrefined by society, lacking the special requirements of the system. Nevertheless, her demonstrated professional competence in secretarial management was commendable, and he contemplated having her by his side to assist with daily affairs. Hello, my surname is Gu. Could you direct me to the chairman's office? Gu Yechen smiled gently, his gaze warm yet resolute as he addressed Xiao Ku. Do you have an appointment? Xiao Ku hesitated, her mind racing with surprise. In this tumultuous time, someone was here to visit the chairman, who was currently incapable of attending to matters. She had already prepared to resign and seek other employment, as this position did not entirely align with her expertise. Gu Yechen gently shook his head. Upon witnessing this gesture, Xiao Ku quickly responded, Sir, I apologize, but our chairman requires an appointment, and he is not in the office at the moment. She placed her hands elegantly at her abdomen, her demeanor respectful, her tone sincere and polite. I am the new chairman of your company. I have acquired the majority of the shares, Gu Yechen stated calmly, his voice steady as a tranquil stream, yet imbued with undeniable authority. At this moment, he held 51% of the shares, establishing himself as the highest individual shareholder. Xiao Ku was momentarily stunned, her eyes widening in disbelief as she gazed at Gu Yechen. As if time itself had frozen. She never anticipated such a dramatic transformation within the company in such a brief span, the ownership shifting so abruptly. Hello, Mr. Gu. I was unaware that you were the new owner of the company. I apologize, Xiao Ku exclaimed, suddenly awakening from her stupor, hastily bowing slightly. Her face a portrait of anxiety and unease. Not at all. Please escort me to the chairman's office, Gu Yechen replied with a composed demeanor. Mr. Gu, this way please. Xiao Ku swiftly adjusted her composure, gesturing with precision as she led Gu Yechen directly to the elevator to the top floor. The MO group comprised 3 buildings. The main structure soaring to 150 meters with 35 stories, accompanied by 2 auxiliary buildings, one for research and another for employee rest. Gu Yechen nodded slightly, quite pleased with her efficiency. This was a fundamental quality of a competent employee. Chairman, this is the previous chairman's office, Xiao Ku spoke with a hint of reverence, marking her first visit to this pinnacle of power. Prior to this, she had merely been a receptionist, with no entitlement to enter this domain. Gu Yechen opened the door and strode inside. The office was spacious, decorated in a predominantly classical style, with red wooden furnishings, a testament to MODUN's apparent fondness for traditional items. Gu Yechen admired the decor. Yet he knew that all seating and bedding would need to be replaced. What is your name? Gu Yechen inquired, turning his gaze towards Xiao Ku. Even though he already knew her name, the formalities could not be overlooked. Chairman, my name is Xiao Ku, she responded, her voice quivering slightly, betraying her nervousness. She had not expected the chairman to inquire about her name. I see you are a major in secretarial management. I would like to appoint you as my secretary. Having just taken over the company, I am unfamiliar with many aspects and require your assistance. What do you think? Gu Yechen's gaze was intense as he regarded Xiao Ku. Instantly, Xiao Ku felt a surge of astonishment. She had never mentioned her specialization, yet this young man seemed to have discerned it effortlessly. Moreover, just from accompanying him upstairs, she was presented with the opportunity to become his secretary. However, her expression soon dimmed with a hint of disappointment as she replied, But, Chairman, you already have a secretary. Chapter 162. The board meeting. The thought of employing someone else's personnel gave me pause. Are you willing to engage in work related to your field of expertise? If so, then become my secretary. Gu Yechen smiled, a smile imbued with encouragement and anticipation, akin to the warmth of the sun in spring, bestowing comfort and strength. Xiao Ku bit her lip, her heart tempestuous, embroiled in a fierce struggle. On one hand, this was undoubtedly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to apply her knowledge, fully leverage her professional advantages, and realize her career aspirations. On the other hand, she harbored concerns about offending the former secretary, potentially inviting unnecessary trouble and distress upon herself. Chairman, I am willing. Xiao Ku ultimately resolved herself, her eyes radiating determination like brilliant stars against the night sky. Excellent. From this moment forward, you shall be my secretary. First, assist me in organizing a comprehensive dossier on the company, encompassing the personnel structure of each department and the recent business status. Gu Yechen nodded in satisfaction, his demeanor reminiscent of a general strategizing a campaign, decisively issuing orders. Xiao Ku complied, hurrying away, her steps tinged with urgency and anxiety. Gu Yechen approached the expansive floor-to-ceiling window, gazing down upon the city's vibrant tapestry, the bustling streets, and the towering edifices that sprawled below. His gaze was profound and far-reaching. As he began meticulously devising the future direction of the MO Corporation, contemplating strategies to secure a triumphant outcome. Before long, Xiao Ku returned to the office, clutching a thick stack of documents. Her breath was slightly hurried, beads of perspiration glistening on her forehead, shimmering under the light. A clear testament to her tireless efforts to complete the task expeditiously. Chairman, here are the materials you requested. Though her voice bore traces of fatigue, it was predominantly filled with satisfaction and anticipation at having fulfilled her duty. This marked her inaugural experience as a secretary, thus she felt a wave of nervousness. Gu Yechen handed her a glass of water, simultaneously taking the documents from her hands, engrossed in perusing them, as if deciphering a treasured manuscript. Xiao Ke stood momentarily stunned. A prominent figure pouring her water? Such an act had never crossed her mind. In her previous perceptions, bosses were always aloof, issuing commands from on high. But here stood Gu Yechen, unexpectedly approachable, stirring within her an indescribable sense of gratitude. You've done well, Xiao Ke. Next, we shall implement a series of reforms and adjustments within the company. As Gu Yechen examined the documents, he articulated his thoughts to Xiao Ke. His voice was steady and commanding, imbued with confidence and resolve, compelling those around him to believe in his capacity to lead the company to greatness. Xiao Ke listened intently, nodding occasionally, her pen swiftly capturing key points, eager not to overlook any significant detail. Notify the remaining shareholders for a meeting. Gu Yechen smiled. A smile that exuded a sense of control and confidence over the situation. Understood, Chairman. Xiao Ke responded, turning to leave the office, her steps light yet resolute. In the hospital, Mo Duan's wife sat beside the bed, her gaze fixed on her unconscious husband and her son Mo Ihan, who had lost both legs. Tears streamed down her face, her heart shattered. The devastating loss of her youngest son, Mo Ziyu, in prison compounded her anguish, leaving her on the brink of collapse. She found herself questioning whether a curse had befallen her family, for how could such catastrophic events unfold within mere hours? It was not just her family. The misfortune had befallen all of Mo Duan's cousins as well. Oh, old man, what sins have you committed? How could a once harmonious family disintegrate so swiftly? As she wiped her tears, Mrs. Mo lamented her pain and injustice. After enduring years to bear a child at 30, now one lay paralyzed, and another had passed away. How could she possibly bear such immense upheaval? At that moment, her phone rang. Hello, madam, where are you now? Mrs. Mo recognized the caller as shareholder Li Longyuan, and she braced herself to answer amidst her grief. I'm at the hospital. Is there something you need? She struggled to steady her voice, striving to restore her previous calmness. I just received news that a new chairman has called a board meeting. What has happened to old Mo? How could that person convene a board meeting? The revelation struck Mrs. Mo like a thunderbolt, further fraying her already fragile nerves. That's impossible. Old Mo didn't appoint anyone. That person must be an imposter. Mrs. Mo declared firmly, unable to accept the reality of the company being controlled by another at such a critical juncture. I thought so too. If old Mo didn't authorize it, how could he dare? Don't worry, I'll expose him publicly. Li Longyuan's voice resonated with confidence on the other end of the line. All right, old Li. I'll leave it to you. Once old Mo awakens, I'll inform him of this matter. Mrs. Mo painted a hopeful picture, even though she understood that Mo Duan might never awaken. Yet, in this moment, offering others hope and assurance seemed to provide her some temporary solace and support. Thank you. I appreciate your help. Li Longyuan replied, then ended the call. Mrs. Mo clutched her phone, staring blankly out the window, her heart heavy with confusion and fear, uncertain of the path that lay ahead. In the conference room, 5 shareholders remained who had yet to divest their shares, collectively holding 12%. The 5 individuals exchanged glances within the room. Old Li, you're quite familiar with MOISNT in the hospital? How could he suddenly call a board meeting? Inquired a shareholder in his 50s, his belly round. I just spoke with Mo's wife. She confirmed that old Mo hadn't appointed anyone, which means this person must be a fraud. When he is at his most arrogant, we'll expose him, Li Longyuan declared with a smug expression, as if victory were already within his grasp. Is that so? I can't believe someone would impersonate him. Aren't they afraid of being arrested? Another shareholder scoffed. One shareholder, who often found himself at odds with the others, remained silent, shaking his head. He pondered, why couldn't it be a case of acquiring shares to reach a personal maximum stake? Chapter 163, a display of authority as they engaged in discussion. The door to the conference room slowly swung open. A young, handsome man strode confidently into the room, followed closely by a man and a woman. He stood tall like a proud pine, his features striking, akin to a radiant moon, with a gaze that radiated self-assurance. His demeanor conveyed an air of calm authority, as if this space were his domain. The man and woman trailing behind him also bore solemn expressions, maintaining a close proximity. The woman was beautiful and dignified. The man was robust, with piercing eyes. This unexpected scene left everyone in a state of shock. This was a serious and formal conference room, and yet, unfamiliar individuals had intruded without invitation. Who let you in? Is this a place you can enter at will? Leave at once. Li Longyuan erupted, standing abruptly, his eyes wide with fury, veins bulging on his forehead, as he unleashed a loud reprimand. His voice echoed through the room, filled with rage and authority, reminiscent of thunderous roars. Your mouth truly deserves a slap, Gu Yechen remarked coolly, his voice low yet sharp, cutting through the air like a blade, reaching every ear in the room. The coldness in his tone enveloped the atmosphere, leaving an icy chill in its wake. In an instant, Qin Lang moved like lightning, swiftly positioning himself behind Li Longyuan. A resounding slap followed, akin to a sudden thunderclap. Without hesitation, he struck, causing several of Li Longyuan's teeth to dislodge, arcing through the air before landing on the floor with a sharp clatter. Damn it, how dare you hit me? Who are you? Speak up, and see if I don't teach you a lesson. Li Longyuan clutched his bleeding mouth, staring at his fallen teeth, his anger ignited. His eyes blazed with rage and hatred, burning like a fierce flame, as if he intended to consume the intruder whole. Seeing Li Longyuan still daring to curse, Qin Lang could not allow such insolence. He seized Li Longyuan's shoulder, leaving him utterly defenseless. My surname is Gu. Starting today, the ownership of your company has changed hands. I am now the chairman of the MO Group, and I present you with two choices. Gu Yechen stated, his voice calm as water yet imbued with an invisible pressure, akin to an abyssal whirlpool that was impossible to resist. First, sell your shares to me at the highest price available this month. Second, you may delay, but should that occur, when the time comes, I will only offer the lowest price for acquisition. Gu Yechen smiled, a hint of disdain gracing his features, as if looking down upon a swarm of ants. The shareholders present instantly turned pale, their expressions contorted as if they had swallowed something foul. They never imagined that a mere young man would possess such audacity, attempting to directly acquire their shares. Huh, what qualifications do you have, you little brat, to speak to us in such a manner? Moreover, what gives you the right to be here? Get out, immediately. Li Longyuan's threats were abruptly interrupted by Gu Yechen. Or what? It seems you have yet to learn your lesson. Shall I give you another chance to reconsider? Gu Yechen narrowed his eyes, his gaze sharp as a knife, seemingly capable of piercing through one's soul, causing the temperature in the room to drop significantly. The atmosphere became palpably tense, akin to a bomb ready to explode. What gives you the right to address us in this manner? At that moment, an older shareholder interjected, his tone laced with skepticism and wariness, his brow furrowed. Scrutinizing the young man. Me? Haven't you noticed that today, the shareholders present are merely you few? Gu Yechen replied, astonished at their ignorance. How could they be so foolish? His expression revealed a blend of disappointment and mockery, as if he were deriding a group of ignorant fools. You have acquired their shares? Li Longyuan exclaimed in disbelief, his eyes widening and mouth agape, unable to fathom the situation's escalation. Gu Yechen had already utilized the system to acquire 51% of the MO Group, including scattered shares. Such maneuvers would go unnoticed. With the system at his disposal, he was capable of achieving feats that would be nearly impossible in reality, rendering his actions exceedingly convenient. Gu Yechen shrugged and remarked, you may handle this as you see fit. If you refuse, that is of no consequence. I shall simply employ my intellect to persuade you. His tone was relaxed and nonchalant, as though everything were well within his grasp. Xiaoko promptly produced 4 share transfer agreements, her movements graceful and decisive, placing them before 4 individuals. Only one shareholder, Xiang Sihua, did not receive an agreement. Originally, Gu Yechen had prepared 5, but upon seeing Xiang, he altered his decision, offering only 4. Xiang Sihua, at merely 30 years of age, stood in stark contrast to the other shareholders. His visage was resolute, with chiseled features, and his gaze unwavering like the stars. He was upright and selfless, his philosophies diverging greatly from those of his peers, resulting in strained relations within the company, where he faced ongoing exclusion. Thus, Gu Yechen intended to retain him as an ally, to collectively strategize for the group's future. Chairman Gu, I am willing to follow you and strive for the company's development, Xiang Sihua declared, recognizing Gu Yechen's intent upon seeing the absence of an agreement before him. His voice was strong and determined, like the beating of war drums, his eyes sparkling with anticipation, envisioning a vast new horizon brought forth by the young man's audacious actions. Excellent, Xiang Sihua. I have faith in your capabilities and resolve. Gu Yechen replied with a smile, his expression warm as a spring breeze, instilling confidence and strength within those present. The remaining shareholders exchanged glances, lost in contemplation. Their eyes conveyed a spectrum of emotions, hesitation, concern, and confusion about the future. Li Longyuan, consider wisely. Will you sell your shares at a high price now, or wait to be acquired at a low price? Gu Yechen's gaze shifted to Li Longyuan, his tone carrying a hint of menace, akin to a sword poised to drop. Humph, I do not believe you can do anything to us, Li Longyuan retorted defiantly, his eyes revealing stubbornness and an unwillingness to yield, though his slightly trembling form betrayed his underlying fear. Well, let us see how this unfolds, Gu Yechen scoffed, the sound echoing ominously within the conference room, tightening the atmosphere. However, as the words left their lips, the other 3 shareholders, after weighing their options, promptly signed the agreements. After all, the shares they held could be exchanged for a considerable sum, with no buyers available currently. Accepting an offer at the month's highest price was indeed favorable. Li Longyuan stood frozen, aghast at the unfolding scene. Chapter 164. Mod Yuan's betrayal. Li Longyuan gazed at others selling their shares, feeling as if he had swallowed something unpleasant, his countenance as pallid as a frostbitten eggplant. Just moments ago, he had strutted about with unearned bravado, only to be swiftly humiliated. and it was he who had foolishly offered his face to be struck. How can you treat Chairman Mo this way? He stammered, trembling as he pointed at the three individuals, his voice quavering like a candle in the wind. His fingers shaking faintly as if it were a withered branch swaying in a gust. People strive for higher ground. He was uncertain if he could even awaken from this debacle, and he well remembered how he had treated us when he held power. If Chairman Mo learns of your affair with his wife, do you truly believe you will lead a charmed life? The older shareholder looked at him with disdain. His gaze filled with contempt, as though observing a ludicrous jester performing. Gu Yechen widened his eyes, astonished and thrilled. He had not anticipated that merely issuing a warning would unveil such a scandal, igniting his excitement as if he had stumbled upon a treasure trove. Upon hearing the revelation, a flicker of panic crossed Li Longyuan's eyes, swift as lightning, yet he quickly suppressed it, roaring, "Do not slander me casually, or I shall not be courteous." His voice bore a hint of bluster, masking his inner trepidation. "Do not stop. Spill the tea." Gu Yechen regarded the unfolding scene with keen interest, his eyes shimmering with curiosity, like a child eager to hear an exhilarating tale. Xiaoke was somewhat taken aback. She had not expected her boss to be so irreverent in such a serious setting, relishing in gossip. She pressed her lips together, inwardly musing on his uniqueness. "Gu, do not overstep." Li Longyuan glared at Gu Yechen, a glint of ferocity in his eyes, akin to a famished wolf poised to devour its prey. "I detest being insulted. Why do people persist in doing this?" Gu Yechen had scarcely finished speaking when a piercing cry erupted. Li Longyuan was struck fiercely in the chest by Qin Lang. His body soaring backward like a kite severed from its string, blood erupting from his mouth, painting the air with a horrific mist of crimson. "Middle-aged man, why bother? A loose tongue invites retribution." Gu Yechen shook his head, a hint of helplessness on his face, as if lamenting Li Longyuan's ignorance. "Chairman Gu, we've signed a contract here. Does that absolve us of any responsibility?" The older shareholder inquired cautiously, his tone laced with flattery and trepidation. "Wait. Finish recounting what you just mentioned. If I find it intriguing, perhaps I shall increase your compensation." Gu Yechen had a penchant for gossip. Monetary matters were of little concern to him at that moment, as his thoughts were wholly captivated by the explosive secret that seemed the most alluring treasure in the world. Gu Yechen exchanged a knowing glance with Xiaoke, who discreetly activated a recording device, preparing to document this potentially tumultuous revelation. The older shareholder glanced from Li Longyuan to Gu Yechen, hesitated momentarily, then spoke. Li Longyuan has long maintained an ambiguous relationship with Chairman Mo's wife. Several times, they have been spotted clandestinely meeting in private locales. Furthermore, in crucial company decisions, Chairman Mo's wife often favors Li Longyuan, raising suspicions among us. Until now, Chairman Mo has been kept in the dark. If he were to discover this, what fate awaits Li Longyuan? Upon hearing this, Li Longyuan's face drained of color. Devoid of vitality, as he struggled to rise and refute the claims but could only collapse, gasping for breath. "You lie. This is slander and entrapment." Gu Yechen observed the scene with keen interest, a slight smile gracing his lips. "Whether it is slander or not can be determined through investigation." "Li Longyuan, do you have any retorts?" Rendered speechless, Li Longyuan's eyes brimmed with despair and terror, akin to a trapped beast plummeting into an abyss. Gu Yechen chuckled softly and addressed the older shareholder. "Excellent. This information is thoroughly riveting. Xiaoke, increase his acquisition price by 5%. The older shareholder beamed with joy, expressing gratitude profusely, his face creasing in delight. He had not anticipated such a pleasant windfall from a casual remark. At that moment, Xiang Sihua interjected. "Chairman Gu, such a scandal may tarnish the company's reputation. We must devise a strategy for its prudent management. Do not worry, such trifles will not affect us. Our focus should be on them." Gu Yechen replied with a smile, exuding confidence and composure. The assembly nodded in agreement. Gu Yechen appointed Xiang Sihua as head of the R&D department, preparing to embark on the development of electric vehicles. He had previously noted rewards related to electric cars within the system, prompting him to prepare in advance. Gazing at those in the conference room, his expression resolute and authoritative, he declared, "Let today's events conclude here. Moving forward, let us dedicate ourselves to the company. I assure you, I shall not neglect your contributions." With that, he tore the agreement in half, leading the assembly out of the conference room, leaving Li Longyuan on the floor to ponder his existence. His gaze hollow and devoid of spirit, steeped in regret and confusion. The shareholders were left bewildered. Were they not selling their shares? Why had the agreement been rescinded? Soon, however, a sense of excitement enveloped them as they perceived hope and a promising future in Gu Yechen. They had no desire to relinquish their shares, having invested years in the company and forming a deep-seated attachment. The situation was straightforward. Gu Yechen could not manage every company himself. The others, aside from Li Longyuan, were quite competent, with acceptable capabilities and loyalty. After departing the conference room, Gu Yechen promptly gathered the core team to discuss the next steps in their strategic development. We must seize this opportunity to thoroughly rectify the company's culture and eliminate any detrimental elements, he stated from the head seat, his gaze sweeping over the attendees. Chairman, how shall we handle the matter concerning Li Longduan? The older shareholder inquired. Expel him, acquire his shares at the lowest price. Or we shall pursue legal action against his conduct within the company, Gu Yechen asserted with unwavering determination. In the ensuing days, Gu Yechen entrusted Xiang Sihua with the management, intervening only for critical issues that Xiang could not resolve. The company was rebranded as the Gu Group, with comprehensive reforms and adjustments taking place throughout the organization. Under Gu Yechen's leadership, the MO Group gradually emerged from the shadows, revitalized with new vigor and life. Seated in his office, Gu Yechen noted that 3 opportunities for a lottery remained on the system panel. System, initiate the lottery. Chapter 165. New Energy Technology. Congratulations, host. You have acquired the complete manufacturing and research development process for new energy technology. The system's voice suddenly echoed in Gu Yechen's mind, startling him. Just as he was about to take a sip from his cup of water, the unexpected announcement made him spray the liquid everywhere. He could hardly believe how generously the system treated him, as if his thoughts materialized effortlessly. System, you are exceedingly considerate. It's as if everything I desire comes to fruition. Gu Yechen expressed his amazement, his face alight with joy and disbelief. This system operates on principles. If I am to assist you, it certainly cannot be mere words. The system's response was succinct yet powerful, imbued with unwavering resolve and commitment, akin to an indomitable mountain, offering Gu Yechen a profoundly solid support. Thank you. Gu Yechen smiled, his expression tinged with gratitude and contentment. He felt he had little to offer the system in return, save for his determination to utilize these resources diligently to achieve his aspirations. At that moment, his phone rang, the crisp tone shattering his transient reverie. The sharp and urgent ringtone seemed jarringly out of place in the serene atmosphere. Li Ruoyan. Gu Yechen was taken aback, a flicker of curiosity igniting within him. His brow furrowed slightly, a glimmer of contemplation passing through his gaze, yet he answered the call. Hello. Beautiful. What can I do for you? Gu Yechen chuckled, his tone light and teasing. His voice was buoyant and vibrant, like a refreshing spring breeze. Mr. Gu, could we discuss matters further? Li Ruoyan's voice conveyed sincerity, laced with an undercurrent of urgency and anticipation. The tremor in her tone revealed her inner tension and unease. Certainly. I was just planning to visit the Cloudtop building. See you shortly. Gu Yechen replied readily. He indeed felt it was time to pay a visit. After all, who among the bosses could afford to be oblivious to their own enterprise? Inside the Cloudtop building, Li Ruoyan sat at her desk, her face radiating an uncontrollable excitement. With only a month left before the company's lease expired, failing to renew it would lead to an array of troublesome complications. Sister Yan, why are you so cheerful? Her secretary, Wang Shishao, inquired in surprise, her lively eyes brimming with curiosity, given that she had not seen her boss smile in recent times. This sudden shift caught her off guard. Mr. Gu has agreed to discuss matters again. His tone seemed quite pleased. Perhaps this time we can secure the lease at the original price. A slight increase is acceptable, especially in this city where every inch of land is precious. Li Ruoyan smiled, her expression warm and hopeful. That's wonderful. Wang Xiaoxiao's face lit up with joy, her smile blooming like a radiant flower. Having followed Li Ruoyan for 3 to 4 years, she was deeply connected to her boss, witnessing the trials and triumphs of her business journey. Indeed. Let us hope this time we succeed. Otherwise, we might have to relocate, Li Ruoyan replied, shaking her head gently. Although she bore a smile, her eyes revealed a hint of anxiety. She understood that in such a fiercely competitive business environment, every decision could determine the company's fate. Akin to walking along the edge of a precipice, where a single misstep could lead to disaster. Downstairs, as Gu Yechen stepped out of his car, he gazed upward at the Cloudtop building. Standing beneath its towering structure, he slowly raised his gaze along the imposing edifice that seemed to pierce the skies, as if attempting to breach the heavens. From the ground, it was impossible to perceive its apex. The vastness above evoked a sense of insignificance within him, dwarfed by the majesty of the building. It truly resembles a magnificent mountain, Gu Yechen marveled. His figure appeared diminutive in the spacious plaza, yet filled with reverence for the architectural wonder, akin to standing before nature's awe-inspiring craftsmanship, overwhelmed by admiration and submission. Mr. Gu. Just as Gu Yechen immersed himself in the breathtaking scenery, Li Ruoyan descended to greet him. Her voice, bright and clear, disrupted his contemplation. Ms. Li? Gu Yechen was somewhat surprised. He had not informed her of his arrival, yet she appeared precisely at the right moment. His eyes sparkled with astonishment and delight. Gu Yechen swiftly appraised Li Ruoyan. Name, Li Ruoyan. Age, 26. Appearance, 94 times developed. 0 background, a top student from the finance department of Qingbei University. She has displayed remarkable talent from a young age, possessing unique insights into investments and finance. Her father passed away in a car accident, leaving only her mother at home. Gu Yechen felt a surge of excitement. A finance prodigy with inherent talent, wasn't he this an indispensable part of his ambition to build a commercial empire? Moreover, her qualifications aligned perfectly with the system's requirements. It seemed he had to take action once more. Regaining his composure, Gu Yechen smiled warmly. Ms. Li, what a coincidence. His smile radiated like sunshine, warm and captivating. Li Ruoyan responded with a smile. Of course, I must personally welcome Mr. Gu. Her expression was elegant and gracious, reflecting her refined upbringing and poise. The two exchanged smiles as they entered the cloud-top building together, their strides calm and resolute. Inside the elevator, the atmosphere grew somewhat awkward. The silence thick enough to hear each other's breathing. Gu Yechen broke the silence first. Ms. Li, I presume you wish to discuss the lease renewal? His voice dispelled the oppressive quiet, casual yet tinged with inquiry. Li Ruoyan nodded slightly, saying, Mr. Gu, I hope you will consider our company's situation. Our collaboration has always been harmonious. Her tone was sincere and earnest, her eyes sparkling with hope. Gu Yechen smiled enigmatically, neither affirming nor denying. His expression was inscrutable, as if concealing deeper thoughts. Before long, the elevator arrived at Li Ruoyan's office floor. Upon entering, Gu Yechen casually settled onto the sofa, his demeanor relaxed and free-spirited. Li Ruoyan, in turn, personally brewed him a cup of coffee, her movements graceful and practiced. Mr. Gu, please try this coffee, it's quite delightful. Li Ruoyan offered the cup, devoid of any airs of authority, appearing warm and approachable. Gu Yechen accepted the coffee, took a glance, and sipped lightly, remarking, quite good. Ms. Li, let us discuss business matters. His gaze transformed into one of focus and seriousness, steering the conversation toward the core issues. Chapter 166. Li Ruoyan consented to join Gu Yechen's company. Mr. Gu, I hold your personal abilities in high regard. I wonder if you would be willing to collaborate with me? Gu Yechen was forthright, cutting straight to the chase. It seems Mr. Gu is already well acquainted with my background. Li Ruoyan smiled, though her expression bore a hint of skepticism and caution, her eyes reflecting a flicker of wariness. You are mistaken. I am solely interested in your capabilities. From a young age, I have possessed a unique aptitude for finance. I am not afraid to disclose that I aspire to establish a commercial empire, and thus I require talented individuals to join forces with me. Would you be willing? Gu Yechen's gaze towards Li Ruoyan was imbued with tenderness, as gentle as water, capable of melting a millennium and Appos' worth of glaciers. Li Ruoyan felt momentarily dazed. What kind of young man could possess such depth in his gaze? She had encountered similar looks before, but never had she seen such intensity in someone so young, an 18-year-old. The profundity and resolve in his eyes stirred something within her. I didn't expect Mr. Gu to be privy to this matter. Aside from my family, no one else knows my secret. You are the first. Li Ruoyan's caution heightened. The realization that someone could so effortlessly discern her deepest secret was unsettling. If this individual were an adversary, it would be akin to having a ticking time bomb on her hands. Anxiety and unease filled her heart. Initially, she had intended to decline Gu Yechen and Appos' invitation, but now she found herself compelled to reconsider. Engaging in conflict with Gu Yechen would certainly not be a prudent choice. While she had never heard of Gu Yechen before, his name was now the talk of Shanghai City. She understood the necessity of approaching this situation with great care. I wonder how Mr. Gu envisions our collaboration? Li Ruoyan said with a smile, though her mind was preoccupied with other thoughts. Her smile remained, yet she was rapidly weighing the advantages and disadvantages in her mind. I can provide you with financial support. I shall not interfere with your investment strategies in stocks or finance, but you must join my company. What do you say? Gu Yechen and Appos' demeanor shifted. His expression grew serious as he fixed his unwavering gaze upon Li Ruoyan. He recognized her as an invaluable asset, and through their prior discussions, he had come to genuinely appreciate her exceptional capabilities. May I consider this? Li Ruoyan pondered briefly, her brow furrowed, her eyes reflecting caution and contemplation. She understood the gravity of this decision, requiring thorough deliberation. Of course, this is your choice. Gu Yechen's lips curled into a subtle smile, a glimmer of anticipation flashing in his eyes. If Li Ruoyan was willing to contemplate the offer, it signified a potential opportunity to bring her under his wing. A significant prospect for his business ambitions. Mr. Gu, if we were to collaborate, how much financial support could you provide me? Li Ruoyan asked, fully aware that achieving breakthroughs independently would be a formidable challenge. She raised her head, locking her gaze with Gu Yechen, eager for his response. 2 billion. Gu Yechen replied nonchalantly, his tone steady as if discussing a trivial matter. His expression was composed, exhibiting no sign of agitation even as he uttered such a staggering figure. Li Ruoyan and Appos' countenance froze, her eyes widening in disbelief. She never anticipated Gu Yechen would casually mention 2 billion, nor that he would seem so unfazed by it, as if it were an insignificant sum. After all, 2 billion was an amount that many companies could scarcely achieve in annual net profits. Her heart raced, and her breath quickened. May I bring my team from my company? Li Ruoyan struggled to regain her composure, continuing her inquiry. Personnel matters are yours to manage. I will not interfere. I only seek results. How does that sound? Gu Yechen waved his hand dismissively, uninterested in being burdened by administrative complexities. To him, the achievement of objectives was paramount, and he preferred not to meddle in the intricacies of the operational process. Very well, Mr. Gu, I accept your invitation. I will exert my utmost efforts to fulfill this task. Li Ruoyan took a deep breath, suppressing her excitement, and spoke earnestly. She had long harbored dreams of making her mark in the financial realm, but had always been hindered by a lack of capital. Now, with the promise of 2 billion in support, she felt a glimmer of hope for realizing her aspirations. Firmly believing she could excel in the financial market and achieve remarkable results, Li Ruoyan printed 2 copies of the contract, and without hesitation, Gu Yechen signed his name. He then transferred the 2 billion directly to her. As the funds were received, he successfully earned 20 enhancement points, which filled him with a sense of gratification. All right, Ms. Li, I'm quite lazy, so I will leave all financial matters to you from now on. Gu Yechen lifted his coffee cup, savoring a sip. A relaxed smile gracing his face. He was utterly uninformed about stocks and finance, and unless he were to acquire such skills through a stroke of luck, he had no intention of delving into the specifics of business operations. Li Ruoyan was momentarily taken aback, staring at Gu Yechen in bewilderment. She found herself puzzled by such a leader who so effortlessly dispensed funds and then entrusted her with the entirety of the company's affairs. Yet, upon reflection, she considered it might be a blessing in disguise, granting her the freedom to fully unleash her talents and ambitions. Quickly regaining her composure, she stated, Mr. Gu, rest assured, I will not betray your trust. Gu Yechen nodded and rose to leave. He still needed to inspect the operations of the Yunding building. After all, it was his own enterprise. As Gu Yechen was assessing the Yunding building, his phone rang. Fatty? Gu Yechen thought it strange. Why would the chubby fellow be calling him? Hello, Fatty. Gu Yechen answered the call. Brother Gu, we've been attacked, and they're still pursuing us. Help. Wang Tian's voice crackled through the line. You didn't get caught peeping at girls changing clothes, did you? Gu Yechen couldn't help but chuckle. Give me your location. I'm on my way. Until then, you can tell them you're with Su Hu. They usually don't dare to mess with that name. Gu Yechen quickly advised Wang Tian on how to handle the situation, knowing that most people would think twice before taking action against someone associated with Su Hu. Chapter 167. Dare to provoke them, and I will have you thrown into the Pearl River. What do you intend to do? Let me tell you. We are acquainted with Su Hu, so you would do well not to act recklessly. Wang Tian and Appo's voice trembled, akin to fragile threads swaying in the wind. Frail yet laden with trepidation. He felt uncertain, unsure if Gu Yechen and Appo's words held any weight, or if they were instead on the brink of a brutal beating or something far worse. His gaze was rife with panic, his heart gripped tightly by an invisible hand. Upon hearing the mention of Su Hu, the individuals across from him momentarily froze, as if a pause button had been pressed. Then one asked, you know Su Hu? They belonged to the Dark Blade Gang, fierce rivals of Su Hu's Flying Dragon Gang. Their encounters akin to the collision of meteors, a struggle for survival. Now, confronting someone who claimed to know Su Hu left them momentarily perplexed. Doubt and wariness flickered in their eyes as they exchanged puzzled glances. Indeed, we are quite familiar with Brother Hu, so you would best refrain from causing trouble. Wang Tian noticed the fear that Su Hu's name had instilled in them, granting him a surge of confidence. His previously trembling form gradually straightened, as if finding a solid support. His voice grew somewhat louder, an attempt to mask the terror festering within. Oh, the tall, lean figure regarded Wang Tian with keen interest, his gaze akin to that of a predator assessing its prey. He pondered within whether to eliminate the individuals before him, considering their affiliation with his gang's bitter adversaries. A complex dilemma. His eyes were sharp and penetrating, capable of discerning every flicker of fear in Wang Tian's heart. Do you know who we are? He inquired with a sardonic smile, his lips curling in a manner devoid of warmth, resembling a venomous serpent poised to strike. His tone carried an oppressive weight, unsettling Wang Tian and his companions. Wang Tian and his companions sensed an unsettling shift. Why had the demeanor of the individuals before them altered so abruptly? Was Gu Yechen's assertion mere fabrication? Did Su Hu's name hold no power? A profound despair and fear spread like wildfire within them. Their faces paled instantly, beads of sweat forming on their brows. Wang Tian shook his head and stammered, I do not know him. His voice quavered, as if those 2 words were forced through clenched teeth. Ah, so you do not know him. The tall figure erupted in raucous laughter, the sound piercing through the desolate street like the haunting call of an owl, sending shivers down spines. Let me enlighten you. Our Darkblade Gang and Su Hu's faction are sworn enemies. You claim to be associated with our foes. Can you fathom the grim fate that awaits you? Will it be dismemberment or being buried alive? Or perhaps a slow, methodical dissection? His voice dripped with sinister delight, akin to a herald from the depths of hell pronouncing their doom. An icy wind seemed to sweep through Wang Tian and his companions, chilling them to the core. A thunderous realization struck Wang Tian's mind, and he could not suppress a string of curses directed at Gu Yechen for embroiling him in such peril, provoking such formidable adversaries. His heart brimmed with regret and fury, wishing to confront Gu Yechen at once. It's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding, Wang Tian frantically pleaded, his voice laced with urgency and fear. He sounded almost desperate, instinctively recoiling. This brother, no, this elder. We truly do not know Su Hu. We merely heard his name mentioned. We just graduated high school. There's no way we could be connected to him. Wang Tian swiftly gestured to indicate ignorance. The others behind him, having heard the tall figure's words, broke into a cold sweat, trembling uncontrollably. Their eyes mirrored a profound sense of helplessness and despair. What? I was just about to chop you up, and now you claim not to know him? Are you jesting? His voice escalated, sharp as a whistle. Wang Tian was taken aback by the sudden outburst, his plump frame shaking uncontrollably, akin to a leaf quivering in the wind. The tall figure's eyes widened with anger and menace, causing Wang Tian to falter. It's a misunderstanding, big brother. We genuinely do not know him. Wang Tian hastily fumbled through his pockets, producing a few thousand yuan, trembling as he extended it toward the figure. This is all I have. We are merely students. Without means. Please, spare us. His hand trembled as he offered the money, as if surrendering his final hope. Do you take me for a beggar? The tall figure retaliated with a swift kick, a powerful blow that sent Wang Tian tumbling to the ground like a leaf caught in a tempest, crashing down with a painful groan. Wang Tian felt the sting of the kick, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, stark against the moonlight. Pain and fury filled his gaze. What of you? You need not run. I can chop you up and use you as fertilizer. The tall figure's laughter was chilling, reminiscent of a voice echoing from the abyss, instilling dread. At that moment, Wang Tian and his companions appeared as pale as ghosts, fear tightening its grip around their throats. Their bodies stiffened, rendered immobile. Big brother, please spare us. We truly know nothing of your affairs. Wang Tian's voice quivered, tears brimming in his eyes. Humph. Now you know your error? It's too late. The tall figure remained unmoved, as his underlings eagerly prepared to strike, their eyes gleaming with sadistic anticipation, as if they were about to seize their prey. If you dare touch them, I will ensure you all meet your end in the Pearl River. Mark my words. This day next year shall be your memorial. In that critical moment, a voice rang out from the distance, firm and commanding. The tall figure and his gang exchanged glances, their expressions shifting to one of amusement. Wang Tian and his companions beheld the newcomer as if he were a savior. It was none other than Gu Yechen, who had rushed over upon receiving Wang Tian and Appo's call. Hope ignited in their eyes. Kid, quite audacious, aren't you? What's your name? I'll make your demise swift. The tall figure chuckled, surprised that someone would dare approach. Who am I? I am your father. Do you expect me to wait until I can no longer walk to act bold? Are you a fool? Gu Yechen retorted, his gaze sharp and fearless. Chapter 168, Battle. Brother Shan, what should we do? Is he not going to be killed? A subordinate, taken aback by someone daring to speak to his leader in such a manner, immediately addressed the tall and lean Xiao Shan. His voice brimmed with anger and urgency, laced with an undercurrent of volatility. Just a mere clown, not worth mentioning. Xiao Shan replied nonchalantly, his tone devoid of any tumult, as if Gu Yechen's words had failed to leave an impression on him. His expression was as cold as ice, exuding an air of absolute control, rendering Gu Yechen nothing more than an inconsequential insect in his eyes. At that moment, a subordinate suddenly exclaimed, Damn, Brother Shan, he looks so familiar. His voice was filled with astonishment and confusion, the pitch sharp and piercing due to his excitement. Xiao Shan, intrigued, scrutinized Gu Yechen closely, and the more he looked, the more familiar Gu Yechen appeared. He turned to Gu Yechen and inquired, Are you not Gu Yechen? His gaze flickered with a hint of doubt and contemplation, sharp as an eagle's eye, attempting to extract more information from Gu Yechen's face. Gu Yechen found it peculiar that this group of people suddenly seemed so thrilled upon seeing him. He wasn't a woman. Could it be that he possessed some captivating charm? Indeed, I am your esteemed Gu Yi. Gu Yechen smirked slightly, his eyes glinting with defiance as he continued. Looking at your appearance, I fail to recognize you. Pray tell, who is it that released you from your cage? Gu Yechen took the initiative, delivering a verbal assault with a tone rich in mockery and disdain, each word striking like sharp blades aimed directly at Xiao Shan. However, rather than inciting anger, his words seemed to exhilarate the others, leaving Gu Yechen bewildered. Their excitement stemmed from the fact that Gu Yechen was the highest target within their Dark Blade gang. Anyone who could eliminate him would achieve great renown. How could they not be excited? Xiao Shan chuckled. This world is truly small. Who would have imagined encountering Mr. Gu here? You must have heard of the Dark Blade gang, correct? His smile bore a hint of pride and menace, reminiscent of a cunning fox believing it had ensnared its prey's weakness. Gu Yechen's expression shifted subtly. He would not forget the misdeeds of the Dark Blade gang. nor the intelligence he had received regarding their intentions to act against him. Yet, he was unafraid. The shadows of past schemes and plots flitted through his mind. This minute change did not escape Xiao Shan's keen perception, and he felt a surge of delight. He had presumed Gu Yechen to be fearless, but it appeared that merely invoking the name of the Dark Blade Gang had altered his demeanor. What came next from Gu Yechen ignited Xiao Shan's fury. Gu Yechen scoffed dismissively. The Dark Blade Gang? A rabble, indeed. How dare you be so brazen before me? I have yet to settle the score for your past transgressions against me. It seems I shall have the pleasure of indulging myself once more. His voice rang out, firm and resonant, akin to that of a steadfast soldier. Xiao Shan's expression darkened. He understood Gu Yechen's arrogance, but was taken aback by the sheer audacity of his words. He glared at Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen, do not be so presumptuous. Today marks your demise. His voice was thick with indignation, akin to a volcano on the verge of eruption. No one could withstand the relentless barrage of humiliation. With arms crossed, Gu Yechen observed them with keen interest, declaring, rest assured, I shall capture each one of your Dark Blade Gang members and deliver them to their rightful destinations. You shall share the same fate. His gaze was resolute and frigid, reminiscent of a merciless judge, akin to the Grim Reaper. Xiao Shan was enraged. With a sweeping gesture, he commanded his 10 or so subordinates to swarm Gu Yechen. Akin to ravenous wolves spotting their prey, their faces contorted with savagery, brandishing their blades with fierce intent. Wang Tian and his companions turned ashen, regretting having divulged their information to Gu Yechen, for how could one man possibly contend against so many, especially armed ones? Yet Gu Yechen was no mere pushover. The swiftest member of the Dark Blade Gang approached him, only for Gu Yechen to seize his wrist, disarming him effortlessly before delivering a forceful kick that sent him sprawling. The man fell like a kite severed from its string, crashing to the ground and coughing blood, groaning in agony. Damn. Everyone, attack. Whoever kills him will earn a grand reward. Xiao Shan fumed, though he refrained from taking action himself. In a flash, Gu Yechen darted through the throng like a specter. His strikes were fierce, each blow infused with formidable power, preventing the subordinates from closing in, 2 of whom he had rendered incapacitated. At that moment, another subordinate was struck in the abdomen by Gu Yechen's fist, bending over in pain, his face pale and drenched in cold sweat. Is this all you can do? Gu Yechen taunted, his eyes brimming with scorn. Seeing the situation deteriorate, Xiao Shan charged in personally. His fists flew with speed, aimed squarely at Gu Yechen's face. Gu Yechen sidestepped, countering with an elbow strike, but Xiao Shan reacted swiftly, blocking Gu Yechen's attack in the nick of time. Are you also a martial artist? Xiao Shan hesitated, realizing he had underestimated Gu Yechen's prowess. The two exchanged blows for a dozen rounds, with Gu Yechen ultimately delivering a kick that sent Xiao Shan reeling. Xiao Shan grunted but did not relent, pressing his assault. They engaged in a fierce bout, neither yielding an inch. Meanwhile, the other subordinate seized the opportunity to swarm Gu Yechen. Unfazed, Gu Yechen executed a flying kick, toppling one subordinate, then swiftly pivoted to deliver a punch that felled another. All of you attack together. Xiao Shan bellowed. The subordinates surged toward Gu Yechen with renewed fervor, yet he grew ever more formidable in battle. His movements were swift, each strike landing precisely on the enemy's and Oppo's vital points. In no time, the ground was strewn with moaning subordinates. Xiao Shan gasped for breath, staring at Gu Yechen with eyes wide in shock and fear. How about it? Still want to fight? Gu Yechen dusted off his clothes coldly. Xiao Shan gritted his teeth, unwilling to act rashly. He recognized that maintaining a steady approach was prudent. Gu Yechen, wait for it. This is far from over. Xiao Shan spat, before turning to lead the remaining, barely mobile subordinates in a hasty retreat. Trying to escape? Too late. Gu Yechen observed their attempt to flee, his body moving instantaneously to appear behind Xiao Shan, delivering a powerful kick. However, Xiao Shan, also a martial artist, managed to evade just in time. Oh, a quick reaction. I see. I hadn't expected such talent within your Dark Blade Gang. Gu Yechen feigned praise, though his true intent remained concealed. Xiao Shan felt a surge of anxiety. As a fifth-tier martial artist, he had narrowly avoided Gu Yechen's strike, stirring unease within him. Come again, Gu Yechen declared, charging forward once more. Chapter 169. Either you perish or you fall. Xiao Shan cursed under his breath, astonished at Gu Yechen and Oppo's ferocity. His intention had merely been to eliminate him for a reward. But was such brutality truly necessary? A wave of indignation surged within him. He had anticipated an easy task, only to encounter such a formidable opponent. At that moment, it felt as if an invisible hand was gripping his heart tightly, leaving him uncertain of the vast gulf between himself and Gu Yechen. As Xiao Shan met Gu Yechen's punch with one of his own, he was instantly sent staggering back 6 or 7 steps, while Gu Yechen merely retreated 1. The disparity in their strengths was glaringly evident. Xiao Shan recognized that he was no match for Gu Yechen and was no longer inclined to confront him. Pain radiated through his fist, akin to countless ants gnawing at him, and he silently lamented his plight. His expression darkened instantaneously. At that moment, a lackey stood up, pointing at Gu Yechen and exclaimed, "Kid, do you have any idea who stands before you? He is none other than our Dark Blade Gang's hallmaster, Xiao Shan. How dare you overestimate yourself and engage with our boss? Are you courting death?" His voice was sharp and grating, imbued with a sense of bravado. Echoing off the empty street with an especially jarring resonance, Xiao Shan felt a wave of embarrassment wash over him. He could scarcely contend with Gu Yechen. And now this underling was attempting to show off? Was he not pushing him further down a path of ruin? His face darkened further, his expression one of barely contained rage, wishing he could slap this insolent lackey. His eyes bulged with fury and helplessness. "Have you lost your senses?" Gu Yechen's gaze turned icy as he regarded the lackey, his voice cool and resonant, as if the very temperature of the air had dropped. That chilling stare was reminiscent of winter frost, instilling an involuntary shiver in all who met it. The lackey, under Gu Yechen's scrutinizing gaze, felt an uncomfortable sensation wash over him, akin to being targeted by a venomous serpent, as if his life were in imminent jeopardy. His body trembled involuntarily. Even Xiao Shan was unnerved by Gu Yechen's demeanor, feeling a deeper fear than he had during their earlier confrontation. The frigid aura seemed to penetrate his very bones, leaving even this seasoned veteran feeling a profound sense of dread. He swallowed hard, attempting to suppress the terror welling within him. The lackey stood frozen, his finger still pointed at Gu Yechen. Enough of this nonsense. In an instant, Gu Yechen darted towards the lackey, swiftly severing his finger and discarding it to the ground. "I told you not to point at me, yet you refused to listen." His movements were precise and unhesitating, treating the act as mere trifling. The lackey let out a scream akin to a slaughtered pig, his face pale as he stared at his severed digit, tears streaming down his cheeks. "My finger. Ah!" His wails echoed through the silent street, a sound so haunting it sent chills down the spines of all who heard it. "Mr. Gu, we hold no enmity between us. Why not let this end here?" Xiao Shan was desperate to avoid combat with Gu Yechen, fully aware of his own limitations. Survival was paramount. He could afford to be cowardly if it meant preserving his life. His voice was laced with a pleading tone, entirely devoid of the earlier bravado. At that moment, he resembled a dog begging for mercy. "Huh?" Gu Yechen snorted dismissively. "You intend to take my head back as a trophy. Yet now you claim we have no significant grievances? The animosity between us and your Dark Blade Gang is quite clear. Either you perish, or you fall." His words resonated with a resolute finality, each syllable like a sharpened blade aimed at Xiao Shan's heart. "Gu Yechen, do not be overly arrogant. The gap in our strengths is not insurmountable. Should we truly engage, the victor remains uncertain." Xiao Shan, realizing Gu Yechen had no intention of letting him go, shifted his demeanor, readying himself for confrontation. There was no retreat from this point. He feigned calmness, striving to match Gu Yechen's imposing presence, though his voice quivered, betraying his inner terror. His gaze flitted nervously, unable to meet Gu Yechen's unwavering stare. Gu Yechen's laughter was chilling. "Is that so? Then let us see." With that, he resumed his fighting stance, prepared to accept Xiao Shan's challenge, his posture as unyielding as an insurmountable mountain. Xiao Shan gritted his teeth, fear gnawing at him. Yet with no option to withdraw, he charged at Gu Yechen with a fierce yell. His movements were swift, akin to a frenzied beast. The two clashed once more, each strike a testament to their lethal intent, the sound of their blows echoing like thunder in the air. Gu Yechen, agile and precise, deftly countered Xiao Shan's attacks while launching his own. Xiao Shan, increasingly disoriented, struggled to keep up. Each collision resounded like muffled thunderclaps. With a decisive kick to Xiao Shan's chest after over 30 exchanges, Gu Yechen sent him flying, crashing to the ground with a bone-jarring thud. Xiao Shan coughed up blood, his complexion growing ever paler, his body trembling as if caught in a tempest, akin to a leaf spiraling in a gale. "Boss." The other lackeys, witnessing their leader and Appos, as helplessness, hesitated to intervene, paralyzed by fear of Gu Yechen's authority. They lingered, faces marred by confusion and terror. Gu Yechen approached Xiao Shan, his gaze as frigid as ice. "Xiao Shan, as a member of the Dark Blade Gang, you ought to remember what your faction has done to me. Mark my words, do not cross my path in your next life. Today marks your end." His voice was low and filled with murderous intent, reminiscent of a death sentence from the depths of hell. Xiao Shan, struggling to rise, wiped the blood from his mouth and said, "Your strength surpasses mine. But you will never defeat our leader. I merely had the misfortune of arriving first." He began to laugh, a sound steeped in despair and resentment. In a flash, Gu Yechen lunged at Xiao Shan, and their battle erupted anew. Yet, Xiao Shan had never been Gu Yechen's equal, and with his injuries, he stood no chance. Gu Yechen landed a punch squarely on his face, sending teeth flying, before delivering a swift kick to his abdomen that dropped him to the ground. His movements flowed seamlessly, executed with precision. "Boss." The dozen or so lackeys, witnessing their leader's utter vulnerability, felt their spirits plummet. If their boss was powerless, what hope did they have against Gu Yechen? Their faces turned ashen, as if the apocalypse were upon them. Gu Yechen, spare me. I promise never to cross you again. Xiao Shan gasped for breath, the pain overwhelming him, rendering him incapable of standing to plead for mercy. His voice trembled, stripped of its former bravado. Now you comprehend the weight of your fears. It is too late. Gu Yechen exhibited no signs of compassion, his gaze remaining as cold as frost. Chapter 170. The gun must not be aimed at the people. Just as Gu Yechen was poised to deliver a final blow to Xiao Shan, a piercing siren suddenly shattered the silence of the night. The sound pierced the dark sky, standing out starkly in the stillness. A glimmer of hope ignited in Xiao Shan's heart, illuminating his face with the prospect of salvation. However, Gu Yechen remained unfazed, his gaze resolute and cold. His fist still raised high, as if it were not a fist about to strike, but rather the hammer of judgment about to descend. Gu Yechen, the police have arrived. What do you intend to do? You cannot escape, Xiao Shan shouted, his voice hoarse with excitement, his eyes sparkling with a flicker of hope, as if grasping a lifeline. Even if the police have come, I must first deal with you, Gu Yechen declared, his fist descending without hesitation, propelled by an indomitable spirit and boundless fury. Just as his fist was about to collide with Xiao Shan, the police arrived. Don't move, a police officer commanded, her voice booming like thunder. A female officer swiftly drew her gun, aiming it at Gu Yechen. Her voice was sharp and decisive, resonating with undeniable authority. Gu Yechen halted his movement, coldly regarding the police. The female officer appeared to be around 27, exuding a striking beauty with an air of confidence. Her gun was steadily aimed at Gu Yechen. At that moment, a male officer stepped forward, pressing down the female officer's gun. The barrel is meant for the enemy, not the citizens, he said sternly to her. His expression grave and his gaze unwavering, emanating an aura of quiet authority. Yes, Captain. I understand my mistake, the female officer nodded, a hint of shame crossing her face as she lowered her head slightly. Good to see you again, the male officer said, turning his attention to Gu Yechen. The female officer, surprised that her captain would address the young man this way, looked between them with confusion, unable to fathom their relationship. Captain Qin, what brings you here? Gu Yechen inquired, taken aback by Qin Feng's unexpected presence. A slight furrow creased his brow, and a flicker of doubt crossed his eyes as he pondered the reason behind this encounter. We received a report of a fight, so I came to investigate. I didn't expect to find you involved in a brawl, Qin Feng replied with a wry smile, his expression tinged with resignation, as if lamenting the chaotic scene before him. I came upon receiving a call that my classmate was being assaulted, so I rushed here immediately, Gu Yechen stated firmly, his eyes reflecting an unwavering determination to protect his classmates. Qin Feng surveyed the scene, taking in the injured and the bloodstains strewn across the ground, his expression shifting to one of shock. He had not anticipated such disorder, and his brow furrowed deeply as a grave demeanor settled on his face. What on earth happened here? Qin Feng asked, his tone grave and powerful, as if interrogating everyone present. Gu Yechen succinctly recounted the events, prompting Qin Feng to fall into contemplation. His gaze grew pensive as he reflected on the underlying truths of the incident. The Darkblade gang has long been a target for our police force, and we will thoroughly investigate this matter, Qin Feng asserted, his tone resolute and decisive, leaving no room for doubt. Xiao Shan and his accomplices were taken away by the police, and Gu Yechen accompanied them to the precinct to provide his statement. After a thorough and meticulous investigation, the police concluded that Gu Yechen had acted in self-defense and to protect his classmates during the altercation, resulting in his exoneration. As for Xiao Shan, he would face the full weight of the law, destined to remain incarcerated. Upon exiting the police station, Gu Yechen silently vowed to eradicate the Darkblade gang, this malignant force. Why haven't you gone home yet? Gu Yechen asked, spotting Wang Tian sitting alone on a bench beneath the streetlight, his silhouette appearing somewhat forlorn. This incident is my fault, otherwise. You wouldn't and Oppos, T have had to come to the police station, Wang Tian said, a hint of shame coloring his voice as he lowered his head, unable to meet Gu Yechen's gaze. It's not your fault. I've had a grudge with these people long before. Seizing the opportunity to eliminate a few of them was a commendable choice, Gu Yechen remarked, his tone light, as if the tumult they had just experienced was merely a minor disturbance. I'll treat you to barbecue, Wang Tian exclaimed, draping an arm around Gu Yechen's shoulder, attempting to alleviate his guilt through this gesture. Glancing at the time, Gu Yechen noticed it was already 6 o'clock, and he decided to enjoy barbecue for dinner. The two found a stall, and Gu Yechen ordered the spiciest option. In their province, known for its love of spice, the extreme heat posed no challenge for him. Hey, Lao Gu, can you handle that? Wang Tian asked, astonished at Gu Yechen's order of a mountain of spicy food. This made him uneasy, as he could handle spice, but not to such an extent. Moreover, he recalled that Gu Yechen had never been able to tolerate extremely spicy food. Do you think I can't handle it? Gu Yechen replied, noticing Wang Tian's incredulous expression, his eyes glinting with provocation. I know your usual limits. If you eat like this, I'll have to take you to the hospital later, Wang Tian shrugged, his face full of skepticism. Realizing that his body was no longer the same as before, Gu Yechen promptly adjusted his order to a more moderate level, opting for garlic chili sauce instead. Now that's more reasonable, Wang Tian nodded, relieved to see Gu Yechen alter the menu. All right, boss. Wang Tian handed the menu to the vendor. Lao Gu, when did your skills become so formidable? You used to be completely inexperienced, let alone in a fight, Wang Tian asked, curiosity etched across his face. Still amazed by Gu Yechen's prowess. I'm just a low-key person. What you see isn't necessarily the whole truth, Gu Yechen replied with a smile. Wang Tian nodded, unsure of how Gu Yechen had changed, but finding no issue with it. As they enjoyed their barbecue, a melodious voice interrupted their meal. Mr. Gu, what a surprise to find you here. It was Li Ruoyan, who had unexpectedly spotted Gu Yechen and Wang Tian. She was taken aback to see Gu Yechen, a wealthy individual, dining at a street stall. Chapter 171. A reunion with Li Ruoyan. Please, have a seat, Ruoyan. Gu Yechen directly addressed her by her surname, conveying a sense of intimacy. He was well aware of Li Ruoyan's capabilities, which fueled his desire to bring her under his wing. The subsequent matters could be contemplated later. Li Ruoyan nodded gracefully and took a seat opposite Gu Yechen, while Wang Xiaoxiao quietly stood behind her. You should sit as well, Gu Yechen said, turning his gaze to Wang Xiaoxiao. Thank you for taking care of Ruoyan over these past few years. His tone was sincere and gentle, enveloping them in a warm ambience. Wang Xiaoxiao was somewhat taken aback, and even Li Ruoyan felt surprised. She was uncertain about the sudden friendliness from Gu Yechen, especially since they had only recently met. Although Gu Yechen was handsome and affluent, and she harbored a favorable impression of him, their acquaintance was still superficial. She had never been one to easily engage with men unless they possessed an extraordinary allure. Clearly, Gu Yechen fit her ideal, yet she remained unsure of his intentions. After all, who wouldn't be drawn to a wealthy, handsome, and virtuous young man, especially with a 9-year age difference between them? Unbeknownst to Gu Yechen, Li Ruoyan's mind was racing with thoughts. He attentively offered her a skewer of grilled meat and opened a bottle of orange juice for her. Li Ruoyan felt a twinge of nervousness. Her usually composed demeanor as a high-powered executive had dissipated. Do you have any thoughts recently? Gu Yechen inquired, his gaze fixed on her, filled with anticipation. Not at the moment, but I believe 3 companies show promising prospects. Sue's Beauty, Gu's Group, and Xinyan Group could be worthy investments. Their operational performance is steadily rising, and they will undoubtedly reach new heights within a year. Li Ruoyan regarded him thoughtfully, her expression serious and professional. Gu Yechen chuckled softly. The 3 companies you mentioned all belong to me. He spoke with complete transparency. The skewer slipped from Li Ruoyan's hand, landing on the table with a thud, while Wang Xiaoxiao nearly lost her balance. They had just conducted an in-depth study on these companies, only to discover they were owned by the man sitting before them. The revelation was utterly astonishing. Are you serious? Li Ruoyan exclaimed, her beautiful eyes wide with disbelief. I do not shy away from telling you that once these 3 companies develop, they will become top-tier enterprises. Your insights are remarkably sharp and accurate, Gu Yechen remarked, a smile involuntarily gracing his lips. Wang Tian, overhearing the conversation, widened his eyes in astonishment. His close friend had transformed into an affluent magnate? What on earth was happening? Old Gu, what is this all about? Wang Tian asked eagerly, his voice laced with confusion. I made a bit of money and started a few companies. Gu Yechen replied nonchalantly with a smile. How much? Wang Tian's curiosity intensified as he sensed the complexity of the situation. Not much, just a few $100 billion. Gu Yechen understated, knowing full well that revealing his true financial status would likely leave Wang Tian in shock. Good heavens, you've become a tycoon. You're treating us today. Wang Tian immediately shifted his previous intent to treat them and ordered more skewers, determined to indulge at his friend's expense. His family owned a company that supplied fresh ingredients, and while they were reasonably well off, they paled in comparison to Gu Yechen's wealth. Of course, Gu Yechen laughed, patting Wang Tian's shoulder. There's a reason I want you on my team. With your beauty and composure, my business empire will undoubtedly benefit from your assistance. Here's a toast to you with this drink. His tone was casual yet sincere as he regarded Li Ruoyan. Li Ruoyan felt warmth at his words. She hadn't expected such amiability from a prominent figure like Gu Yechen, who treated her with such respect. However, what did he mean by calling her beautiful? She quickly picked up a bottle of orange juice, saying, Mr. Gu, it is my honor to receive your recognition. Her impression of him brightened significantly. As they enjoyed their barbecue, the atmosphere grew increasingly lively. Ruoyan, which industries do you think will have greater development potential in the future? Gu Yechen inquired. After a moment of contemplation, Li Ruoyan responded. I believe the fields of renewable energy and artificial intelligence will witness significant breakthroughs, particularly regarding environmental protection and efficiency. Additionally, the e-commerce sector is still immature. If we could venture into it, we might achieve unprecedented success. Gu Yechen nodded in agreement. Your insights are quite astute. I have been keeping an eye on these 3 sectors. I have already entered one and am preparing to engage with the other 2 at the right moment. That sounds fantastic. If we can establish a foothold early, we will undoubtedly gain a competitive edge. Li Ruoyan's eyes sparkled with excitement. Wang Tian listened intently. Though his business acumen did not match Li Ruoyan's, he could still sense the opportunities and challenges at hand. By the way, Ruoyan, what are your thoughts on company management and team building? Gu Yechen continued. Li Ruoyan spoke confidently. I believe we should focus on talent development and incentive mechanisms to cultivate a positive, creative team. Additionally, strengthening corporate culture is essential to instill a sense of belonging and recognition among employees. Gu Yechen nodded repeatedly, increasingly admiring Li Ruoyan. Before they knew it, time had flown by, and the night deepened. Let us conclude our conversation for today. There will be plenty of opportunities for in-depth discussions in the future. Gu Yechen smiled. Agreed. Li Ruoyan felt that her knowledge had expanded significantly from her discussion with Gu Yechen, particularly regarding his insights into future technologies, including mentions of photolithography machines, though she merely listened, as the core technology was beyond her grasp. As they rose to leave, Li Ruoyan and Wang Xiaoxiao were filled with joy, recognizing this as a significant opportunity, while Gu Yechen contemplated how to guide them toward glory in the business arena. Upon returning to the British-style mansion. Chapter 172. Borrowing money upon returning home. Gu Yechen was taken aback to find Liang Shi standing quietly at his doorstep, resembling a forlorn statue. His brow furrowed slightly in surprise. When Liang Shi caught sight of Gu Yechen's car, her body instinctively tensed, and the anxious expression on her face became increasingly evident. Gu Yechen deftly maneuvered his vehicle into the garage, exited the car with fluidity, and approached her seamlessly. What brings you here? Do you need something? He inquired, gazing at Liang Shi. With a rating of 88, Liang Shi indeed met the system's minimum requirements for beauty, yet amidst the multitude of stunning women surrounding Gu Yechen, she did not seem particularly remarkable. Zhang Yun, Tong Wenwen, Ning Qianxue, Jiang Qingyan, Su Yan, Xia Yutong, Han Chuxia, each possessed their own allure. Although one must win the affection of a woman to gain a chance at a lottery, wealth naturally elevated his standards. As for Liang Shi, a one-night stand might be conceivable, but a more enduring relationship was not out of the question. Liang Shi hesitated, her hands fidgeting with the hem of her clothing. Sensing her discomfort, Gu Yechen gently urged, "Come inside and speak." He opened the door, and Liang Shi cautiously followed him, taking a seat on the sofa with a sense of restraint. Gu Yechen poured her a glass of water and discreetly dismissed Qin Lang, hoping to create a more relaxed atmosphere for Liang Shi. "Now can we talk?" Gu Yechen smiled, his warmth akin to the gentle embrace of spring, causing Liang Shi's heart to quiver. For a long time, she had harbored feelings for him, but this affection remained buried deep within. She often felt unworthy of such an exceptional man, and now, as she sought his assistance, her anxiety intensified. "Mr. Gu, could you lend me some money?" Liang Shi finally mustered the courage to voice her request after a moment of hesitation. Yet, as the words escaped her lips, her complexion paled dramatically, and her gaze became unfocused, revealing her inner turmoil. Gu Yechen was perplexed. He had purchased 2 properties from Liang Shi, and she should have received several million in commission. Logically, she ought not to be in financial distress. "If I recall correctly, I bought 2 properties from you, which means you should have earned over 8 million. Why do you need to borrow money from me?" He pondered, unable to comprehend the situation. He scrutinized her with his discerning gaze and confirmed that Liang Shi was still untouched, which only deepened his confusion. At Gu Yechen's inquiry, Liang Shi's tears cascaded down her cheeks like a broken kite, her eyes reddening instantly as sorrow overtook her. Gu Yechen, witnessing her distress, quickly handed her a tissue to gently wipe away her tears, his voice imbued with tenderness and concern. "Why are you crying?" "My brother secretly gambled and lost over 10 million. If we don't pay, they'll ruin him. I've already spent all my earnings trying to save him. I truly have no other options left. Mr. Gu, could you help me? I would do anything in return. I would be willing to serve you," Liang Shi sobbed, her voice quivering with desperation. Gu Yechen felt at a loss. The vices of gambling, drugs, and vice were the most perilous predicaments to entangle oneself in. The consequences could be dire. "How old is your brother?" he asked, his expression a mixture of helplessness and curiosity. 21, Liang Shi replied, her tears subsiding slightly as she stabilized her emotions. "He's not a child anymore. Why would he gamble? He should know better. Or has he become foolish from studying too much?" Gu Yechen's brow furrowed deeply. "I don't know. He was always well-behaved before. I don't understand why he suddenly became addicted to gambling," Liang Shi confessed through her sobs. After a moment of silence, Gu Yechen stated, "This is not a small sum. Provide me with a compelling reason to assist you. Otherwise, why should I help?" Despair filled Liang Shi's eyes as she bit her lip and replied, "As long as you are willing to help me, I would do anything." Seeing her pitiable state, Gu Yechen felt his resolve waver. "I can help you, but it won't be without a cost," he said slowly, recognizing the opportunity before him. Liang Shi eagerly nodded, as if grasping onto a lifeline. "From this day forth, you will work for me, using your salary to repay this debt," Gu Yechen stipulated. Without hesitation, Liang Shi agreed. But wait, there's one more thing, Gu Yechen said sternly. Ah, what is it? Liang Shi asked, touching her head, having assumed it would be a simple matter. Just spend tonight with me, and I'll provide the funds in the morning. Think it over. I won't pressure you, he added, a slight smile gracing his lips. With only 2 chances left for the lottery, securing Liang Shi could grant him another opportunity. Although Liang Shi had anticipated this, a blush crept onto her cheeks at Gu Yechen's proposition, making her appear adorably shy. Her hands nervously clutched her pants as she realized that with a nod, everything could be resolved. After an internal struggle, Liang Shi finally nodded. Mr. Gu, I agree. Her gaze dropped, resembling a lamb awaiting slaughter. As she understood that her decision held the key to her brother's safety, Gu Yechen nodded in approval. All right, then let us start with a shower. He guided Liang Shi to the 4th floor, where the swimming pool awaited. Liang Shi was familiar with the space, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Mr. Gu, are we really going to wash here? She asked nervously, her heart racing at the thought of bathing in front of him. Yes, I need a shower as well. Let us do it together, he declared, shedding his clothing and diving into the pool. Liang Shi's heart raced as she instinctively glanced over. Discovering a significant detail, Gu Yechen's physique was remarkably well built, and certain aspects were decidedly impressive. Could she handle this? What's wrong? Are you not coming in? Gu Yechen noticed her hesitation and inquired. It's fine. I would never force anyone. You are free to leave. He chuckled, then gracefully submerged himself. To him, this was inconsequential. Although gaining Liang Shi would grant him another lottery chance, such opportunities would eventually arise, as no woman could resist wealth, especially from a man as handsome, affluent, and kind as he was. Liang Shi bit her lip, slowly. Chapter 173. Departure of Liang Shi. As Gu Yechen observed Liang Shi taking the initiative, a subtle smile graced his lips, tinged with a hint of pride and anticipation. With a flush adorning her cheeks, Liang Shi stepped into the swimming pool, the water enveloping her figure, leaving only her head above the surface. Her long hair flowed gracefully in the water, resembling a celestial being. The gentle ripples reflected her bashful, yet exquisite visage. Soon, the two emerged from the water, draped in bathrobes, with Liang Shi's face still flushed, her gaze lowered in shyness. The implications of the moments to come were clear to her, akin to a dream. Yet who could resist the allure of a handsome, gentle, and affluent man? Her heart raced, a blend of nerves and excitement thrumming within her. Gu Yechen gently lifted her chin with his finger, compelling Liang Shi to meet his gaze. Then, under her watchful eyes, he pressed his lips against hers. A shiver coursed through her, goosebumps erupting on her skin as she stood frozen in place. Despite their kiss, her eyes remained fixed on Gu Yechen, leaving him momentarily speechless. Who gazes at their partner during such an intimate moment? Close your eyes, Gu Yechen murmured softly. His voice deep and magnetic, imbued with an irresistible gentleness. Oh, Liang Shi complied, shutting her eyes, surrendering to her sensations as her heart raced ever faster. Suddenly, she felt herself lifted by Gu Yechen, startling her as she instinctively wrapped her arms around him, her heartbeat quickening, resting her head against his chest. She could hear the powerful rhythm of his heart harmonizing with her own. Let us go. It's getting late. We should rest, Gu Yechen said softly. His gaze filled with tenderness and affection for her, exhibiting immense patience. Liang Shi replied, her voice barely above a whisper, akin to the flutter of a mosquito. Gu Yechen offered no further teasing, placing a gentle kiss on her forehead before carrying her back to their room. In that moment, they laid bare their souls to one another, and as Gu Yechen took action, Liang Shi's playful protests soon led to their union. 2.5 hours later, having spent an extended time together, Gu Yechen looked at Liang Shi and asked, "Does it hurt?" His voice was soft, laced with concern. Liang Shi shook her head, a shy smile crossing her lips as she replied, "I'm fine. It doesn't hurt." A warmth enveloped her heart, but uncertainty loomed regarding her next steps. She was acutely aware of Gu Yechen's many admirers. The last woman she had seen him with was strikingly beautiful and graceful. Thus, she felt it unlikely to capture his affection. Her visit had been prompted by her brother's troubles, and she sensed this might be their final encounter, as she intended to leave the city soon. To surrender herself entirely to Gu Yechen before departing brought her a bittersweet joy, as he was the first man she had genuinely liked. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of complexity, mingling future uncertainties with a profound attachment to the present moment. They embraced and fell asleep together. That night, Liang Shi slept soundly for the first time since her brother's incident, having been plagued by worry. This night was her final act of support for him, as she knew there would be no second chance. She was bewildered as to why her brother had changed so drastically. He had always been a well-behaved and diligent student. Yet everything had spiraled out of control since he began college. Moonlight streamed through the window, casting a silvery veil over them. Liang Shi nestled in Gu Yechen's arms, her brow occasionally furrowing in her sleep, still troubled by thoughts of her brother's situation. Gu Yechen, unable to sleep, gently stroked her hair, attempting to soothe her inner turmoil. As dawn broke, sunlight filtered through the curtains, rousing Liang Shi. Upon seeing Gu Yechen beside her, a torrent of emotions surged within her. She rose slowly, wishing not to disturb him. However, Gu Yechen awakened as well, smiling as he asked, "Up so early?" Liangxi hurriedly pulled the covers around her, flustered as she realized her lack of clothing. I didn't want to wake you," she stammered. Gu Yechen sat up, enveloping her in his embrace. "What are your plans moving forward?" After a moment of silence, Liangxi summoned her courage to reply, "Once my brother's situation is resolved, I intend to leave here." Gu Yechen frowned slightly. "Just like that? Have you considered it thoroughly?" Liangxi met his gaze, determination shining in her eyes. "I've made up my mind. This place holds too many memories for me. I need a fresh start." Gu Yechen gently caressed her hair, asking, "Is it because you're afraid of seeing me?" "Not entirely. I've simply been here for quite some time and wish to experience a different environment," Liangxi smiled. "Have you thought about which city you might go to?" Gu Yechen inquired. "I wish to return to Sichuan," Liangxi confessed. Sighing, Gu Yechen replied, "All right. If you've made your choice, I respect that. But if you encounter any difficulties, do not hesitate to call me." Despite his romantic nature, Gu Yechen would never allow the woman he cared for to suffer. Liangxi nodded, tears welling in her eyes. Gu Yechen transferred 10 million to her, stating, "I'm not fond of the idea of enabling dependency. You should live for yourself. Assistance is one thing, but not in this manner. This money is for you. There's no need to repay me, but how you choose to use it is your decision." "I understand," Liangxi acknowledged. "But my parents are farmers and cannot repay this. My brother is still studying, so I go wash up. I'll prepare breakfast," Gu Yechen interrupted, planting a kiss on her lips. "Okay." Liangxi gazed at the man who was her first love, filled with hope. Shortly, Liangxi joined him downstairs for breakfast. "When are you leaving?" Gu Yechen asked. "Today," Liangxi replied, sipping her seafood porridge. "Such haste?" Gu Yechen expressed surprise at her immediate departure. "I intended to leave yesterday, but I wanted to try," Liangxi admitted, her complexion paling as she recognized the gravity of her choice. Yet, Gu Yechen had still provided for her, leaving her feeling indebted. Gu Yechen drove Liangxi home, and upon arrival, he discovered her bags already packed, ready to leave the city. He personally escorted her to the airport. "Take care of yourself," Gu Yechen said, his gaze soft with affection. Liangxi held back her tears, replying, "You too." With that, she turned to enter the boarding gate. "Liangxi," Gu Yechen called out. She looked back to see him with arms outstretched. Understanding his unspoken sentiment, her heart swelled with joy, believing that he must harbor some feelings for her. Liangxi ran into his embrace, feeling his strength and warmth, overwhelmed by the moment. Gu Yechen kissed her briefly, then released her. Liangxi found herself longing for more, but refrained from voicing it, instead planting a soft kiss on his cheek before departing. Gu Yechen watched her retreating figure disappear into the crowd, a bittersweet sensation settling in his heart. On the plane, Liangxi gazed out at the clouds. Reflecting on her journey, she recognized this as a pivotal moment in her life. The road ahead would be long, and she must face it with courage. Just then, Chapter 174. The beauty elixir is about to launch at this moment. The system's voice echoed. "Congratulations, host, you have acquired Liangxi, whose attributes meet the system's requirements. You have gained an additional lottery chance and increased your physique. Congratulations, host. Jiang Qingyan's affection value has surpassed 90, granting you another lottery chance. Is my sister thinking of me?" Gu Yechen's lips curled into a slight smile. He yearned to seek out Jiang Qingyan immediately, yet pressing matters held him back, prompting him to postpone his response to her affection. Gu Yechen drove to Su Yan's location, for today marked the official launch of the beauty elixir. As the company's esteemed owner, it was imperative for him to witness the occasion, otherwise, he would surely endure Su Yan's incessant reminders. Throughout the journey, he felt an undeniable sense of joy, anticipating the lively scenes that awaited him. Upon entering the Su Beauty Company, Gu Yechen was greeted by a bustling crowd surrounding the reception, all inquiring eagerly about the event. The atmosphere was vibrant, predominantly filled with women whose faces were alight with anticipation and curiosity, revealing the undeniable allure such beauty products held for them. Without uttering a word, Gu Yechen smiled as he navigated through the throng. He carried himself with poise and grace, exuding a distinct charisma that drew glances from many. However, he paid little heed to their stares and proceeded directly to the elevator leading to Su Yan's office. Inside Su Yan's office, she rubbed her forehead, her brow slightly furrowed, betraying her fatigue. Recently, she had sacrificed her sleep for the launch of the beauty elixir, leaving her rest deprived. Knock, knock, knock. Gu Yechen politely rapped on the door, the rhythm steady and measured. After all, courtesy was always an asset in the presence of one's beloved. "Come in," a melodious female voice resonated from within, akin to a clear spring in the mountains, enchanting Gu Yechen and sending ripples through his heart. Upon entering, Gu Yechen was met with Su Yan's radiant smile of surprise as she set aside her documents. "What brings you here?" She rose gracefully, akin to a delicate butterfly, and embraced him. "I missed you and wanted to see you. Otherwise, no one would recognize me as the boss." Gu Yechen spoke gently, guiding Su Yin back into her chair as he skillfully began to massage her acupoints. His fingers applied just the right amount of pressure. Very nice. Do press a bit more? Su Yin remarked, engrossed in her work while appreciating Gu Yechen and Appo's adept massage techniques. Noticing her boss-like demeanor, Gu Yechen playfully interjected, I say. Little Su, what are you doing? I and Appo's, am the boss here. His tone feigned dissatisfaction, yet his eyes brimmed with affection. I know, but I and Appo's, am utterly exhausted. Your massage is quite beneficial. Su Yin replied, her lips curving into a cheeky smile, reminiscent of a married couple. You've worked hard. Gu Yechen replied softly, his voice imbued with tenderness. His gaze lingered on Su Yan's profile, captivated by her earnest dedication. It's no trouble. Work is a joy. Yet I do miss you. Su Yin confessed, her alabaster cheeks tinged with a blush, shyness evident in her demeanor. Feeling warmth spread within him, Gu Yechen's touch grew more tender, as if cradling a precious gem. Little Su, do not overexert yourself. The company's growth is vital, yet your health is paramount. Su Yin nodded slightly, I understand. But the launch of the beauty elixir is of utmost importance. I cannot afford to be negligent. Indeed, but balance is essential, Gu Yechen reminded her. Continuing his massage as the market response to the beauty elixir appeared overwhelmingly positive. Yes, the inquiries have far exceeded our expectations. We must ensure that production and supply keep pace, so consumers are not left waiting. Su Yan's eyes sparkled with excitement. You're entirely in charge of that, Gu Yechen said with a smile. Absolutely. It would be even better if you could assist me. Su Yin gazed intently at Gu Yechen, her affection palpable. At that moment, the secretary knocked and entered. President Su, there are several urgent documents requiring your signature. The secretary, having witnessed the interaction between Gu Yechen and Su Yin, understood the unspoken bond between them. Su Yin swiftly reviewed the documents and signed her name. Once the secretary departed, the office fell into a tranquil silence, punctuated only by the soft sounds of Gu Yechen's massage. Yechen, how wonderful it would be if it could always be like this, Su Yin murmured gently. It will be. The future holds such promise, Gu Yechen assured her. Time slipped away, and soon Su Yin had succumbed to slumber, nestled in her chair. Gu Yechen carefully draped a blanket over her, sitting quietly beside her, his heart brimming with tenderness. The golden rays of the setting sun filtered through the window, casting a warm glow over their moment. Gu Yechen lifted Su Yin into his arms, carrying her to the office bed, her designated resting space. Su Yin lay peacefully in his embrace. Even in sleep, her demeanor retained that of a diligent worker. Gu Yechen felt a deep admiration for the woman before him, who prioritized the company even above himself. 2 hours later, Su Yin stirred awake, her cheeks flushing upon realizing she was in Gu Yechen's arms. Awake, are you? Gu Yechen smiled, sensing her movements. Yes, Aiken, thank you, Su Yin replied, gazing up at him, fully aware of his significance in her life. Without him, she could scarcely fathom what her state would be. There's no need for such words between us, Gu Yechen said, pressing a gentle kiss upon her lips. The offline sales are about to commence. Would you not like to go and see? Su Yan's eyes sparkled with anticipation, eagerly awaiting Gu Yechen's response. Chapter 175. The phenomenal beauty pill. Gu Yechen gazed at Su Yan's expectant eyes and reached out to caress her cheek, smiling as he said, My dear, are you so eager for me to go? His gaze was as gentle as a flowing stream, capable of melting one's heart. Su Yan obediently nodded, exclaiming, Yes, yes, yes. You are the boss after all. Her eyes sparkled with trust and reliance on Gu Yechen. All right, then I shall heed your wishes. Gu Yechen's lips curled into a slight smile, his tone tender and indulgent. His voice seemed to carry a certain enchantment, filling Su Yan's heart with sweetness. Upon hearing his response, Su Yan swiftly pressed her lips against Gu Yechen's before drawing back, her attire adjusted, her cheeks blooming with a rosy hue, reminiscent of a radiant peach blossom. Gu Yechen couldn't help but smile at her, finding her demeanor reminiscent of a young girl. His eyes brimmed with affection, as if every movement of Su Yan was utterly delightful in his sight. With merely 10 minutes remaining until the official sale, Su Yan led Gu Yechen to the company's sales point. As they stepped out of the elevator, the company lobby was already bustling with people, predominantly women, chattering excitedly, their faces illuminated with anticipation and joy. Gu Yechen observed the throng before him and remarked, It seems the beauty pill holds significant allure for the younger generation, especially with so many burn victims and individuals with scars present. They have traveled from all corners of Guangdong province upon hearing of the beauty pill, and some have even come from far-off places. There was a hint of sentiment in his voice as he scanned the crowd, witnessing the yearning in their eyes. Pride swelling within him for the hope his company's product could bring to people. Su Yan guided Gu Yechen through a private passage to the front. Dear friends, may I have your attention, please? Su Yan stood at a podium, her presence ethereal, as radiant as a celestial being. Her voice rang clear and bright, instantly silencing the commotion around her. I believe you are all familiar with our product. I shall not elaborate further. But let me say this. While the beauty pill can rejuvenate one's appearance, its effects are time-sensitive. One pill lasts approximately 2 months, and after that, another can be taken to extend its efficacy. Rest assured, our research indicates that the side effects of the beauty pill are negligible. Furthermore, each consumption will further enhance one's beauty. We estimate that after about 10 pills, one should be able to cease usage without any rebound effect. Su Yan's words flowed smoothly, her expression confident and resolute, instilling faith in the beauty pill among all present. Today marks the official sale of the beauty pill. Those with ticket numbers can proceed to purchase. As she concluded, a wave of enthusiastic applause erupted, clearly a testament to the audience's approval of Su Yan's lighthearted remarks. Joy and anticipation radiated from their faces, as if they could already envision themselves becoming more beautiful. President Su, I wonder if there are enough beauty pills to go around. A male voice called out from the crowd. His gaze fixated on Su Yan. He couldn't help but marvel at her dazzling beauty, thinking that being with her would ensure a life of comfort. His eyes revealed a tinge of greed and inappropriate intentions. Sir, each person may only purchase one beauty pill at this time, and additional purchases are not permitted. One pill's effects last 2 months, and we will certainly produce more in 2 months, so there is no need for concern, Su Yan replied with a smile. Her demeanor was polite and professional, yet she felt a flicker of disdain at the man's inappropriate gaze. Yet the man, unable to restrain his desires upon seeing Su Yan's beauty, pushed forward, saying, President Su, could you make an exception and sell me a few more? I truly need them. His tone was laden with flattery and pleading. Su Yan frowned slightly and stated, Sir, our company has regulations in place. We must treat every customer fairly and cannot make exceptions. Please adhere to the order. The man persisted, President Su, you see my sincerity. Can't you just bend the rules a little? If everyone acted like you, would we even need to sell at all? Su Yan's expression shifted, her voice growing colder. At that moment, Gu Yechen stepped forward, casting a cold glance at the man. Sir, I advise you to conduct yourself with dignity. Do not disrupt the purchasing experience for others. Seeing Gu Yechen's serious demeanor, the man felt a twinge of fear but stubbornly retorted, And who are you to interfere? I am the owner of this company. Should you continue to cause a disturbance, I will have to ask security to escort you out, Gu Yechen replied firmly. The man's face paled at this revelation, and he retreated back into the crowd, silenced. The sales commenced in earnest. Ticket numbers being called one by one as customers orderly purchased the beauty pill. Wow, this beauty pill looks exquisite, exclaimed a young girl upon receiving her pill. Indeed. I hope it truly works, a nearby lady echoed. From the videos, the transformation was remarkable. It should be effective, another added. Gu Yechen and Su Yin observed the lively scene, their hearts swelling with a sense of accomplishment. Hours passed, and the first batch of beauty pills sold out completely. Today, as sales exceeded our expectations, Su Yin exclaimed excitedly to Gu Yechen. It is all due to your efforts, Gu Yechen smiled. No, it is the result of our collective hard work, Su Yin replied. Just then, applause erupted. Excellent, excellent. A dignified man appeared on the scene, flanked by several others. Mayor Han, what brings you here? Gu Yechen inquired, surprised to see Han Zhong. The beauty pill is a remarkable product for the common folk. I came uninvited. I hope you can forgive me. Han Zhong chuckled, giving Gu Yechen a friendly pat on the shoulder. Beside them, Su Yan's eyes widened. She realized that Gu Yechen was not an ordinary person, as he seemed to share a close rapport with the mayor. Han Zhong glanced at Su Yin and leaned closer to Gu Yechen, whispering, You rascal, are you straddling 2 boats? If you dare to mistreat my niece, beware of my wrath. Gu Yechen was taken aback, surprised by the keen insight of those in power. It seemed that despite having a system, one must still cultivate their own discernment. Rest assured, Uncle Han, my heart remains steadfast for Chuxia. Gu Yechen, having been caught, decided to be forthright. Chapter 176. Now that the deed is done, don't blame me, you little rascal. Han Zhong felt an urge to curse. But if it weren't for the public setting, he would have surely engaged in a confrontation with Gu Yechen. His expression was somewhat grim, and a hint of discontent flickered in his eyes. What is the situation? Han Zhong swiftly altered his tone, inquiring with a degree of concern. His gaze fixed intently on Gu Yechen and Su Yan. The first batch sold out completely today, and each person is limited to purchasing 1 beauty pill. Su Yan replied nervously. Her voice trembled slightly, and her hands unconsciously intertwined, as if fearing her answer would fall short of perfection. Not bad. Keep up the good work. Han Zhong smiled, his earlier gloom dissipating instantly, replaced by a look of satisfaction. He continued, Would it be convenient for you to take me over to observe the production situation? His eyes sparkled with anticipation, revealing a keen interest in this burgeoning industry. Of course. No problem at all. Su Yin led the way, her steps light yet hurried. Upon arriving at the workshop, she handed everyone a set of dust-proof uniforms, saying, Mayor Han, it isn't oppos. It's necessary to wear work clothing inside the workshop. What do you think? Her eyes held a hint of inquiry, and her tone was exceedingly respectful. Girl, are you testing me? Han Zhong chuckled, quickly and adeptly changing into the work attire, his movements both practiced and swift. Donning a mask and gloves, he entered the workshop, maintaining an upright posture, showing no sign of impatience despite the cumbersome process of changing. Mayor Han, you seem quite familiar with this. Su-yin couldn't help but exclaim, only to regret it immediately, hastily adding, I'm sorry, Mayor Han, I shouldn't have said that. Her face flushed crimson, filled with remorse. Worried that her careless words might irritate Han Zhong. There and Oppos. No need to be anxious, since you have a special relationship with this little rascal. We need not stand on ceremony. He has quite a connection with my niece as well. Han Zhong glanced at Gu Yeqing, a complex emotion flickering in his gaze. A hint of the urge to strike. Upon hearing Han Zhong's words, Su-yin instantly understood the implication. She looked at Gu Yeqing, her eyes brimming with admiration. She hadn't anticipated that even the niece of the mayor, the daughter of the Han Group's chairman, had been won over by Gu Yeqing. Her respect for him grew even further. Mayor Han, please this way. Su-yin gestured gracefully, leading the way. The group entered the workshop in 2 batches. First passing through an air shower room. Inside the workshop, Han Zhong meticulously inspected the work conditions, the production steps of the pills, and the employees' adherence to protocols. Su, you and Oppos, re-employing a division of labor for production, aren't you? Han Zhong inquired, his keen eyes quickly discerning the crux of the production process. Indeed, to prevent formula leaks. We adopted a step-by-step synthesis approach for the beauty pill, Su-yin replied, somewhat impressed by Han Zhong's insight, as he recognized the critical elements at a glance. After inspecting for some time, Han Zhong turned to Su-yin and Gu Yeqing before leaving, saying, well done, keep pushing for innovation. His tone was resolute and encouraging, filled with expectation. Gu Yeqing merely nodded, while Su-yin replied, we will, thank you, Mayor Han. Her voice was clear and resonant, her eyes shining with determination. At the Zhou Group, in a dimly lit office, the atmosphere was tense and oppressive. A man spoke with a dark expression. This Su family's beauty pill has become such a sensation, we cannot remain passive. We must devise a way to create some trouble for them. His eyes sparkled with jealousy and wrath, his fists clenched tightly. Boss, what do you suggest we do? A subordinate inquired cautiously, beads of sweat forming on his forehead, fearful of inciting the anger of his irate superior. Let us start by targeting their raw material supply, then spread some negative rumors, the man said sinisterly, a malicious smile curling at the corners of his mouth. Meanwhile, Gu Yeqing and Su-yin were still basking in the joy of their success, entirely oblivious to the impending crisis. Hand in hand, they strolled through the bustling streets, relishing this rare moment of leisure. That afternoon, negative comments about the beauty pill began to surface online, alleging adverse reactions following its use. Su-yin felt a surge of anxiety after receiving a call from her secretary, exclaiming, how could this be? Our product underwent rigorous testing, it can't possibly have issues. Her voice was filled with disbelief and distress, her lovely face draining of color. Gu Yeqing's brow furrowed, stating, don't panic, let us return and investigate what is going on. His eyes grew resolute and calm as he grasped Su-yin's hand, leading her back to the company. Upon returning, Su-yin immediately convened a meeting with the relevant personnel. What is going on? Why have such negative comments suddenly emerged? Su-yin's voice carried a note of confusion. Su, we're still unclear, we're investigating, the head of public relations replied. In my opinion, this is merely the work of envious individuals deliberately framing us, aiming to exert pressure through online public opinion. Gu Yeqing remarked, his expression darkened. How shameless can they be? Some employees exclaimed indignantly, having long considered the company their home. They were furious at such slander, but their anger proved futile. It's not a big deal. We'll issue a public statement under the company's name to clarify the situation and then sue the slanderers, Gu Yeqing commanded methodically. We'll continue sales tomorrow. The quality of our products will speak for itself. You needn't worry about the rest. Gu Yeqing smiled, though internally he was calculating something. Now that they've made a move, they shouldn't blame me. Gu Yeqing harbored a long-standing discontent towards the Zhou family. If only he could possess a bad luck card, he would undoubtedly use it against them. Let us proceed as Director Gu instructed, Su-yin said with a smile, feeling reassured with Gu Yeqing by her side. In the office, only Gu Yeqing and Su-yin remained. Glancing at the time, Gu Yeqing noted it was already 6 o'clock. Shall we go for dinner? He took Su-yin's hand, her cheeks flushing as she followed closely beside him. In the restaurant, shortly after they had taken their seats, Gu Yeqing's phone rang. An unfamiliar number? He murmured to himself. Hello, who is this? He answered. Hey, brother-in-law, it's Zhang Zhe. On the other end, Zhang Yun's younger brother was calling Gu Yeqing. What is the matter? Gu Yeqing replied, somewhat surprised. He hadn't anticipated Zhang Zhe would call him, and especially not to refer to him as brother-in-law right off the bat. Chapter 177. Zhang Yun is drugged. Zhang Zhe spoke with a hint of urgency. Just now, my sister went out with a woman, claiming it was a business meeting, but I noticed other cars trailing behind her. I fear something might happen. His voice quivered slightly, beads of sweat forming on his forehead, his eyes filled with concern and unease. Gu Yechen's expression hardened as he instantly sensed the gravity of the situation, for he had been aware of recent threats directed at him. Su Yan also noticed the change in Gu Yechen's demeanor and asked, "What's the matter?" Her voice carried a note of concern, her beautiful eyes fixed on him, as if they could pierce through to the truth, yet they brimmed with confusion. "It's nothing. I have to leave for a while. Can you head back by yourself?" Gu Yechen gently caressed Su Yan's cheek, attempting to reassure her. His gaze was resolute and unwavering. Su Yan sensed something amiss and nodded, planting a soft kiss on his cheek as she said, "Go ahead, be careful." Her eyes reflected understanding and trust, yet there lingered a subtle hint of worry. Gu Yechen kissed her forehead and turned to leave, while Su Yan gazed thoughtfully at his retreating figure. "President Su, let us take our leave." Several bodyguards appeared, all professional protectors in Su Yan's employ. "You three follow Ah-chan. I do not wish for any harm to befall him. Ensure his safety," Su Yan instructed, a sense of unease gnawing at her regarding Gu Yechen's circumstances. Her voice was crisp and decisive, leaving no room for argument. Meanwhile, upon arriving at the designated location, Zhang Yun followed the woman into a hotel. They had agreed to meet here to discuss business. The woman was named He Xian. The hotel lobby was resplendent, with dazzling chandeliers casting a soft glow amidst the bustling crowd. However, Zhang Yun found no joy in the opulent surroundings. An unsettling feeling gnawed at her heart, cloaking her in shadows of apprehension. In the private room, after the waitress served the dishes, she exchanged a knowing wink with He Xian. Sitting opposite Zhang Yun, He Xian remarked, "President Zhang, truly remarkable at such a young age. You are both beautiful and poised." Her smile held traces of insincerity, while her gaze glinted with an inscrutable cunning, as if wearing a mask of falsehood. Zhang Yun furrowed her brow, sensing something amiss yet unable to articulate it. The peculiar sensation coiled around her heart like fine threads, heightening her vigilance. "Isn't this a business discussion? Shall we begin?" Zhang Yun took a sip of orange juice, maintaining a calm smile. Her voice was clear and composed, striving to steer the conversation back on track, the smile masking her inner turmoil. "Patience, patience." He Xian chuckled. "I've heard that your relationship with Gu Yechen is quite extraordinary. Is that true?" Her probing gaze sought any subtle shift in Zhang Yun's expression, much like a hunter scrutinizing its prey. "We're not particularly acquainted, just collaborated on some projects." At this juncture, Zhang Yun realized that the intent of the meeting was far from business. Internally, she steeled herself, while her exterior remained composed, her heart a tempest beneath the calm facade. "That's of no consequence. I brought you here to request a favor." He Xian's tone shifted to one of firmness, shedding her previous guise, revealing a menacing aspect. "Apologies, but we aren't well acquainted. I believe I have the right to decline your request," Zhang Yun responded, striving to maintain her composure. Her hands clenched tightly beneath the table as her mind raced for a strategy. Her heart raced, yet she endeavored to project tranquility. "I wish to inquire if you are familiar with the Mo family." He Xian's demeanor shifted, her previously feigned smile vanishing, replaced by a somberness that loomed like dark clouds. Stifling. "I've heard of them. It seems they've encountered significant troubles lately, with several major incidents occurring that left them leaderless." Zhang Yun replied succinctly, her anxiety intensifying, as if caught in a swirling vortex from which there was no escape. "You seem well informed." He Xian smiled, continuing, "I quite fancy the eldest son of the Mo family. Yet his fate is rather unfortunate. Prior to this, Gu Yechen had been at odds with the Mo family, hence I wish to invite you to dinner." Her smile was laced with malice and calculation, a venomous arrow aimed at the heart. After her words, He Xian clapped her hands, and instantly, a dozen burly men appeared in the private room. Zhang Yun's expression changed dramatically as she sprang to her feet, a sudden dizziness overwhelming her, and she quickly realized she had been drugged. A tempest of anger and fear swelled within her. The fury blazed like an inferno, while the fear chilled her to the bone. "He Xian, you shameless wretch." Zhang Yun managed to utter through clenched teeth, her voice trembling with rage, her eyes ablaze with fury that threatened to incinerate her adversaries. "Fear not, they will take excellent care of you. You shall experience ecstasy beyond imagination, leaving you unable to forget them." He Xian laughed maliciously, producing a camera to capture the unfolding spectacle, her face twisted with twisted delight, a sight that chilled the spine. Zhang Yun's gaze was filled with terror. She could not allow herself to be compromised. She would rather perish than betray Gu Yechen, yet her body felt increasingly weak. Despair clouded her eyes, but a flicker of defiance remained. "Do not struggle. This drug is a new variant that ignites desire, compelling you to unite with men, while sapping you of 2/3 of your strength, leaving just enough to relish the violation." He Xian's laughter was exuberant. She envisioned Zhang Yun's degradation, believing that even the purest of beings would succumb beneath a horde of men. The sound of her laughter was sharp and jarring, akin to the cackle of a demon. "Excellent, excellent. I, Zhao Xian, haven't had the pleasure of such a captivating beauty in quite some time." The man, Zhao Xian, the leader of the Dark Blade gang, advanced with eyes brimming with greed and lewdness. His heavy, Hurried steps suggested his eagerness to consume Zhang Yun whole. He and Xian were in perfect accord. Initially unaware of Zhang Yun's connection to Gu Yechen, Xian's strategy against Gu Yechen was now set in motion due to Zhao Xian's influence. Leader Zhao, you must cherish her well. Xian chimed, her laughter echoing in Zhang Yun's ears like the whispers of a malevolent spirit, saturated with wickedness and temptation. Chapter 178. Zhang Yun is injured. Rest assured, I guarantee she'll never forget me. A malevolent smile played on Zhao Xian's lips as he approached Zhang Yun, his eyes gleaming with avarice, as if she were already his captive. He removed his shirt, revealing a brawny physique. The muscles, glistening under the light, evoked a sense of revulsion, as if they symbolized wickedness rather than strength. Little beauty, come here. Zhao Xian leered at Zhang Yun, his lascivious grin reeking of depravity and corruption. Zhang Yun, struggling to maintain her balance, retreated, pleading, what do you want? I advise you to release me, or your demise is imminent. Her face was ashen, her mind racing for an escape. Her back pressed against the wall, trapped in a corner, the cold, unyielding surface offering no solace. Her voice, though faint, resonated with unwavering resolve, a glimmer of hope in the abyss. At this point, you and Appos, re still pretending? Dawn and Appos, T worry. I and Appos, LL make sure you conceive my child, and then I and Appos, LL present it to Gu Yetchun. Let him witness the fruit of our love. Zhao Xian erupted in laughter, the sound echoing through the room, sending shivers down the spine, as if emanating from the depths of hell. Recalling the numerous members of his Dark Blade gang who had fallen at the hands of Gu Yetchun, his rage remained unquenched. Gazing upon Gu Yetchun's woman, a woman of such exquisite beauty, he was determined to have his way with her. He seized Zhang Yun and Appos' delicate hand. Hearing the threat of pregnancy, Zhang Yun vehemently resisted. She would not allow her body to be violated. She could not betray Gu Yetchun. That single thought consumed her mind. Her resistance was fierce and unwavering. Yet against Zhao Xian, it was a futile struggle, like a trapped animal. Each desperate attempt to break free was fueled by a wellspring of despair. Each act of defiance fueled by her last reserves of courage. Even without the influence of drugs, how could a woman possibly stand against a man? Especially in her weakened state? You wretched woman, you dare resist? Zhao Xian, already incensed by the capture of his subordinates, flew into a fit of rage at the sight of Gu Yetchen's woman daring to fight back. He delivered a resounding slap across Zhang Yun's face. The force of the blow sent her head snapping to the side, leaving a vivid crimson mark on her porcelain skin, which swiftly swelled. Blood trickled from the corner of her mouth, yet she remained silent. Her eyes blazed with defiance and scorn, as if she could incinerate the villain with her gaze. The fire in her eyes embodied her last vestige of dignity and indomitable spirit. Zhao Xian, gripping Zhang Yun, forcefully dragged her toward the room, tossing her onto the bed with brute force. Her body recoiled against the mattress, but she was unable to rise, left lying there helplessly. Her eyes filled with terror and despair. Determined to avoid being defiled, Zhang Yun attempted to end her life by striking her head against the wall. But Zhao Xian would not allow her such an escape. Meanwhile, Gu Yetchun, speeding in his car, urgently questioned the system. System, give me Zhang Yun's location, quickly. Gu Yetchun's face was grim, his eyes concealing an uncontainable murderous intent, his gaze like a sharpened blade about to be unsheathed, cold and piercing. The flames of his fury threatening to engulf everything. And who was the cause of it all? It was the woman he held dear, now in imminent danger. Host, Zhang Yun is in danger. She has been drugged and is currently at the Grand Noble Hotel. The system's mechanical voice sounded, resonating in Gu Yetchun's ears like a lifeline. Gu Yetchun consulted the map, discovering that the Grand Noble Hotel was in close proximity. He immediately floored the accelerator, hurtling toward the hotel. The vehicle surged forward like an arrow released from a bow, the tires screeching against the pavement. Upon arriving at the hotel, Gu Yetchun dashed toward the elevators, only to be intercepted. Young man, you cannot go up there, a man with a stubbled face declared. A member of the Dark Blade gang, naturally determined to prevent anyone from ascending. His eyes were filled with suspicion and menace. A hotel employee approached, casting a questioning glance at Gu Yetchun and then at the man blocking his path. Who are you? Why are you obstructing our hotel guest? The employee inquired, his voice tinged with curiosity and displeasure. The man retorted with disdain, anyone else can go up, but not him. His tone was arrogant and overbearing, showing utter disregard for the hotel's regulations. Gu Yetchun, comprehending his intent, commanded, get out of my way. He delivered a devastating punch, shattering the man's sternum. The man collapsed to the ground, writhing in agony. Sir, you cannot leave after assaulting someone, the hotel employee exclaimed, attempting to restrain Gu Yetchun, only to be intercepted by Su Yan's bodyguard. Mr. Gu, we were dispatched by Ms. Su. Leave this to us, the bodyguard stated, his voice firm and reassuring. Move aside if you value your life. Overwhelmed by Gu Yetchun's barely concealed murderous aura, the hotel employee relented. Gu Yetchun and the two bodyguards proceeded to the elevators. The elevator ascended rapidly, but Gu Yetchun's heart felt as if it were being consumed by flames. Inside the suite, Zhao Xian, gazing at Zhang Yun lying on the bed, could no longer restrain himself. He lunged forward, pinning her beneath him. Zhang Yun desperately resisted, delivering a resounding slap to Zhao Xian's face. The blow embodied her last surge of anger and resistance. She was too weak to fight back any longer and contemplated ending her life after the ordeal. Zhao Xian's fury reignited. Damn it, you dare strike me? He seized a nearby ashtray and brought it crashing down on Zhang Yun's head. Zhang Yun was instantly knocked unconscious, blood streaming down her forehead. The crimson fluid cascaded down her face, accentuating her tragic beauty and vulnerability. Damn it, I was hoping to play with her while she was awake. Ungrateful wretch. Zhao Xian cursed. He began to disrobe Zhang Yun. She was wearing 2 layers, a jacket and a shirt, along with jeans, a casual yet figure-hugging ensemble. The jacket was removed, leaving only the shirt, its form-fitting design accentuating her curvaceous figure, causing Zhao Xian to salivate. He caressed Zhang Yun's cheek, exclaiming, "What an exquisite woman." His voice was imbued with avarice and lust. He proceeded to remove Zhang Yun's pants, eager to savor the taste of such a beautiful woman. Zhao Xian gradually unfastened Zhang Yun's jeans, revealing her thighs. However, due to Zhang Yun's habit of wearing safety shorts, nothing was exposed. Zhao Xian reached out to remove her safety shorts, preparing to violate Zhang Yun. Chapter 179. Gu Yetchun opens a bloodbath just as Zhao Xian had removed half of Zhang Yun's pants, preparing to further violate her. The door of the private room was suddenly kicked open with tremendous force. Gu Yetchun stormed in, accompanied by 2 bodyguards sent by Su Yan, resembling a pride of fierce tigers. Who dares to touch her? Gu Yetchun's roar echoed throughout the room, his eyes ablaze with fury, as though he intended to incinerate his adversaries. The sound reverberated like thunder, instilling fear in the hearts of those present. Zhao Xian and He Xian were taken aback by this sudden turn of events, abruptly halting their actions and hastily retreating from the bedroom. Gu Yetchun, what are you doing here? He Xian exclaimed in terror upon seeing him, her voice trembling with fear. Her complexion turned as pale as a ghost, and her body quivered uncontrollably. The bodyguards sent by Su Yan wasted no time and swiftly engaged their opponents, moving like swift leopards. You beasts, none of you shall escape today. Gu Yetchun disregarded He Xian, rushing towards Zhang Yun's side, his focus solely on the injured and unconscious woman. His heart consumed with anger and sorrow. You're here just in time. Zhao Xian stepped forward, attempting to block Gu Yetchun's path, a grotesque expression plastered on his face. Gu Yetchun threw a punch, but Zhao Xian, emboldened by his status as a 6th-tier martial artist, retaliated without hesitation, believing he had the upper hand since he had learned of Gu Yetchun and Appo's 5th-tier status. However, he was gravely mistaken. Gu Yetchun and Appo's fist sent him staggering backward. Though Gu Yetchun was a 5th-tier warrior, his extraordinary physique, enhanced by the system, made him formidable, rendering ordinary fighters no match for him. His strength surged like a raging tide, overpowering Zhao Xian, fueled by his unbridled wrath. Gu Yetchun's gaze fell upon Zhang Yun, lying on the bed, bloodied on her lips and forehead, her outerwear disheveled, and her pants partially removed. Fortunately, even in jeans, Zhang Yun had the habit of wearing safety shorts. The sight ignited a furious blaze within Gu Yetchun. His anger seemed capable of setting the world ablaze, his eyes reddening, his teeth grinding in rage. He retrieved a handgun from his space, the very weapon belonging to the earlier assassin, and pointed it at Zhao Xian. Speak. Who sent you? His voice was as cold as frost, sending chills down one's spine. Kid, don't think you're impressive just because you have a gun. In this society governed by law, if you have the guts, shoot me. Zhao Xian, confident that Gu Yetchun would not dare pull the trigger, clung to his last shred of defiance, attempting to intimidate him with words. However, Gu Yetchun was beyond caring for such threats. Zhao Xian had touched his forbidden scale. Gu Yetchun would never harm the women close to him, and witnessing Zhang Yun's plight drove him to pull the trigger without a moment's hesitation. Bang! The deafening sound echoed through the hotel, and Zhao Xian, a 6th-tier warrior, met his demise in an instant. He could hardly fathom that Gu Yetchun would dare to fire a gun in today's society. Had he known, he would never have provoked him. The gunshot shattered all illusions and hopes. He Xian, witnessing Zhao Xian's immediate death, trembled and collapsed to the ground, paralyzed by fear. Gu Yetchun turned his icy gaze towards her. Speak. Who sent you? Otherwise, you'll meet the same fate as him. He Xian, trembling and at a loss for words, stammered. I just couldn't stand seeing you deal with him, Oihan. She dared not meet Gu Yetchun's gaze. So you targeted Yunu? Gu Yetchun's voice dripped with cold menace, his eyes sharp with murderous intent. It wasn't intentional, please spare me. He Xian, frightened, looked up at Gu Yetchun, her previously arrogant demeanor dissipating entirely. When you sought to harm the women around me, you signed your own death warrant. You should consider your next life as a human being. With those words, Gu Yechen fired a bullet into He Xian's head. She collapsed, lifeless. Gu Yechen then turned his attention back to Zhang Yun, gently dressing her in her outerwear and pulling up her pants, cradling her tightly in his arms. He was relieved to have arrived in time. Had he been any later, Zhang Yun would have been irreparably harmed. This thought ignited his fury anew, and glancing towards the Dark Blade gang members outside, he seized a knife and swiftly eliminated them all. As a member of the Dragon Team, he could eliminate any threats to himself, and local authorities could not detain him. Having completed his task, Gu Yechen returned to Zhang Yun, whose eyes appeared vacant. She believed she had lost her purity and felt unworthy of Gu Yechen. She contemplated ending her own life. Are you all right? Gu Yechen asked, gazing at her wounded face, his heart aching for her. Zhang Yun weakly shook her head upon seeing Gu Yechen, tears welling in her eyes. Yechen, I'm sorry, I was violated. The immense pain in her heart compelled her to utter those words. Gu Yechen had previously advised her against losing herself, and she had failed to heed his warning. Gu Yechen pressed his lips against hers and reassured her, foolish girl, you were not violated. As soon as I learned of this, I rushed here. So do not grieve. Upon hearing Gu Yechen's words, a flicker of light returned to Zhang Yun's previously hollow gaze. Really? She struggled to believe it, knowing she had lost consciousness for quite some time. Have I ever lied to you? Gu Yechen gently caressed her swollen cheek. Does it hurt? Learning that she had not been violated rekindled the life within her heart, washing away the unpleasant memories, as nothing could be more important than this revelation. Zhang Yun clung tightly to Gu Yechen, burying her face in his embrace, and sobbed uncontrollably, saying, I thought I would never see you again. I was powerless to resist. I was ready to end it all. All right, crying won't make you any more beautiful. Gu Yechen gently comforted her, reminiscent of soothing a child. And his words brought a smile to her tear-stained face. Let us leave this place. Gu Yechen lifted Zhang Yun into his arms and stepped out of the bedroom. Inside the private room, the bodies of a dozen individuals lay sprawled across the floor. Zhang Yun felt a pang in her heart at the sight and said, Yechen, won't this get you into trouble? Fear gripped her. She worried that Gu Yechen and Apos' actions would lead to his capture or worse. Fear not, I will handle everything. Gu Yechen replied with a reassuring smile. Upon seeing his smile, Zhang Yun realized that to him, this was merely a trifling matter. With that, Gu Yechen prepared to lead Zhang Yun away from this nightmarish place. Chapter 180. A reunion with Han Zhong. As I exited the private room, the hotel owner appeared at the doorway, his demeanor hurried, beads of sweat dotting his forehead, clearly startled by the sudden turn of events. A glance into the room revealed the situation, and upon seeing Gu Yechen holding Zhang Yun, he understood what had transpired. Sir, I am the proprietor of this establishment. Suju and how he introduced himself. Observing Gu Yechen's unwavering gaze, which seemed to pierce through all, he felt an involuntary trepidation. Such a significant incident has occurred. You cannot simply leave. Suju and how managed a strained smile, continuing, we have already notified the police, and they will arrive shortly. After all, a shooting incident is no trivial matter. I hope Gu Yechen will not complicate our business. His smile was tinged with reluctance, revealing a hint of anxiety. If there are matters to discuss, they can find me at the English Manor, Building 1, Gu Yechen replied, his posture resolute, as if nothing could deter his departure. At that moment, the police arrived, led by Director Deng Jian, accompanied by Qin Feng and a female officer, along with several armed soldiers. Their synchronized, brisk steps heightened the tension in the atmosphere. Upon seeing the police, Su Juanhao hastily departed, eager to distance himself from the unfolding chaos. Relieved as long as the incident did not implicate his hotel. Director Deng, Gu Yechen called out, his voice steady and resonant amidst the tension. Deng Jian nodded, recognizing Gu Yechen from his previous association with Han Chuxia. However, upon noticing the bloodstains on Gu Yechen and his embrace of Zhang Yun, he was momentarily taken aback. Quickly entering the room to assess the situation, his shock swiftly replaced by solemnity. Qin Feng, witnessing the scene, turned to Gu Yechen, incredulous. Brother Gu, did you do this? His eyes widened in disbelief, struggling to comprehend the reality before him. Gu Yechen nodded, stating, yes, they crossed a line, intending harm against those dear to me. And they deserve their fate. His tone was calm, devoid of any panic despite the gravity of his actions, as if recounting an ordinary occurrence. You are being irrational. Your actions could lead to a death sentence, Qin Feng admonished, concern and helplessness etched on his face. Gu Yechen remained silent, aware of Qin Feng's good intentions. Gently placing Zhang Yun down, he declared, Captain Qin, had I not intervened, my people would have surely faced peril. Those within are members of the Dark Blade gang, who sought to use my loved ones against me. I will not tolerate such treachery. His words resonated with fury and resolve, a testament to his hatred for his enemies and his fierce protection of his kin. Have you considered the consequences of killing so many? Qin Feng's voice bore a hint of worry for Gu Yechen, his concern evident. Rest assured, this will not cost me my life, Gu Yechen replied confidently, his expression unyielding, as if he were in complete control of the situation. You. Qin Feng was left speechless. Stay put. Do not leave, he instructed before re-entering the room. The female officer cast a deep glance at Gu Yechen, her thoughts shrouded in mystery as she processed the sight of him avenging a woman. His actions leaving a profound impact on her perception of him, now tinged with admiration and a hint of confusion. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense. Gu Yechen stood quietly, his gaze drifting into the distance, lost in contemplation. Turning to Zhang Yun, he asked softly, "Are you tired?" "Not tired, but I fear for your safety," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. "Fear not. I shall remain unharmed." Gu Yechen reassured her with a gentle pat on her head, a smile gracing his lips. After a while, Qin Feng emerged from the private room, his expression grim. "Gu Yechen, your situation is quite troublesome," he remarked. Gu Yechen met his gaze in silence. "However, we will investigate